Will Le'Veon Bell and Joe Mixon slip for a second straight night? Will quarterbacks get pushed up again? And how will tonight's drafters handle those tight ends? Follow along with the live draft board tonight and listen to our analysis as we call the action from the 2019 FFPC Pros vs. Joes. It's Not About Money, League Number 2, to see who will win a 2020 FFPC main event team. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Everybody, if you got what it takes, because I'll tell your reps and
broadcast live and heard around the world. You are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
with the master rhymer, that's the lead behind the video rapper. You know the top rhymer, tapper.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I am, of course, your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is indeed the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Tonight we have the second of 6 special episodes for you. It's the Pros vs. Joes. It's Not About Money, League Number 2 draft tonight, and we will be covering it for 2 hours. You can follow the live draft board at the link posted on my Twitter account, as well as inside the Blog Talk Radio chat room as well. You can follow at Fantasy Mojo, who has tweeted that out, that link as well. And big thanks to him, Darren Armani, who puts this together every year. Does a great job. The show is at HSFFOR on Twitter. I am at Eric Balkman. Dave is at David Gerzak. Facebook.com/HSFFOur. 347-426-3682. 347-426-3682. 347 Game Over. Excuse me. Is where you can connect with us tonight. You can email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, send them in now. Our producer and mutual friend Rob, our audio engineer and best friend Bryce will get those questions to us throughout the program tonight. As a reminder, tonight, midnight Pacific time, is deadline day for the FFPC main event early draft slot announcement. When you pay for your team in full, you will get your draft slot next Monday, July 29th. And remember, if you already have a team, you're going to get $350 off each additional team you add on. So square those balances away today at myffpc.com. You get about 6 hours left to do that to still sneak in. Tonight, here's the lineup for everybody who's interested. It is a star-studded showcase of both pros and Joes tonight. Leading things off, it's Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach from the 1 spot. They of Team Ground and Pound. Matthew Friedman and Dave Cabin from the ActionNetwork.com are going to be picking out of the 2 spot. Mike Sands, Dave Tripoli at the 3. Justin Boone from thescore.com at 4. Mark and Amy Palmer, the FFPC Joes, at 5. Guru Elite, Jeff Manns from the 6 spot. David Hubbard from the 7 spot tonight, former FFPC main event champion. Jared Smolin from Draft Sharks picking out of the 8th spot, along with FFPC Joe Patrick Beasley out of the 9. Footballguys.com, Sigmund Bloom in the 10. Jason Mitchell and Kevin Clues rounding up things for the FFPC Joes at the 11th spot. And Dave Richard of CBSSports.com will be out of the 12th spot tonight, drafting on that turn. Dave, welcome in. We had a successful podcast last night. We are at full steam ahead for both the electricity and the internet. We are hummed and lubed to a fare thee well, and I'm not just talking about the electricity.
Yeah, that's great, Balky. Nice job.
All right. So, are you psyched up for this? Is it? Are you ready to do this 2 nights in a row here?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm feeling really good.
Okay, good. Because we are already through round 1 here tonight. Let's bring everybody up to speed on what is going on here. Now, Mueller and Roach kick things off with Christian McCaffrey, second day in a row. We've seen McCaffrey go 1. You think McCaffrey's going to go 1 in all these, or do you think that Saquon Barkley is Barkley the other guy that you're looking at here at the 101?
Elliott can go first, still too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
First sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes he does. I didn't know if you thought it would happen in PVJ this year, but maybe. Friedman and Caban from the Action Network are picking Saquon Barkley 2. Alvin Kamara goes to Sands and Terpoli at 3. Ezekiel Elliott goes to Justin Boone from the Score at 4. Now, here's a bit of a curveball. Packers wideout Devontae Adams at the 5 to Mark and Amy Palmer. Could not get one of the top 4 running backs. Had the opportunity to go Hopkins or Adams or Travis Kelce, quite frankly, and they went Devontae Adams. Now, Dave, we talked about this Hopkins thing yesterday. Do you think that factored in or would factor in for you who are picking at 5? If you're going to go a receiver, would you take Adams over Hopkins?
I probably would still take Hopkins myself, even though I was saying I would downgrade Hopkins a little bit. If I would go receiver. Also, I forgot to, the Elliott thing. He could be holding out possibly, so maybe he won't go number 1 anymore.
Well, no. I think you made a strong point. I think it is still possible that we could see that. Although, the thing is, it's like, well, I guess there is a significant difference between 4 and 1, but you never know. I mean, he could be the highest volume running back of those top 4 that we see this year. Travis Kelce to Jeff Manns at the 106 tonight, followed by David Hubbard taking David Johnson, and then Joe Mixon. No slippage tonight as he fell to the 209 in last night's Pros vs. Joe's draft. That is not the case tonight as Jared Smola takes him at the 108. DeAndre Hopkins to Patrick Beasley at the 109. Julio Jones to Sigmund Bloom at the 110. Michael Thomas to Mitchell and Clues. The FFPC Joes are drafting at 11. And then James Conner, the final pick of the 12th round here, to Dave Richard from CBS Sports. I think the only thing that really stands out to me here, Dave, is that Devontae Adams pick. I don't think I really have anything else to say. Julio Jones and Michael Thomas, I think, for a lot of drafters, especially in the Football Guys Players Championship, that's something that, that they've wrestled with to figure out which receiver you're going to go there, assuming Adams and Hopkins are off the board. Do you have a preference between Jones and Thomas this year? I mean, Jones seems to be the bigger play guy. Michael Thomas, maybe the better PPR guy, but both of those guys should make big plays, get a lot of grabs, and get in the end zone this year.
I like both of them. I also like Beckham. I like Juju. All the guys are taking kind of that range. I'm a pretty big fan of, and you can get Tyreek back up into that mix too.
That is true, and we'll see where he goes as we enter round 2 tonight of the FFPC Pros versus Joes. This is it's not about Money League. By the way, Josh Mack 22 in the chat room. They gave DJ to Hubbard, just unbelievable value according to Josh for Hubbard to get David Johnson at the 107. Where I've seen him, 104, 106, somewhere in that range normally is where he goes. Odell Beckham kicking things off here in the second round to Dave Richard from CBS Sports. Beckham going with James Conner there. Nick Chubb, no 109 for him today. Was it the 109 or 108 that he went yesterday, Dave?
I don't recall, Eric. But
it was one of those two. Yeah, it was one of those two. So Chubb slips to the 202 tonight. Juju Smith-Schuster to Sigmund Bloom as he is the first and only team, it looks like, Dave, to start receiver tonight as he pairs Julio Jones and Juju Smith-Schuster together. A lot of J's there and a few S's. Zach Ertz, the second tight end off the board at the 204 to Patrick Beasley. Melvin Gordon and Le'Veon Bell then go right after that. Jared Smola gets Melvin Gordon to pair with his Joe Mixon, and then Le'Veon Bell to David Hubbard. So a little slippage from Le'Veon Bell here 2 nights in a row, Dave, as he goes at the 206 tonight. I think he went at the 207 last night.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't really see it. It's probably just random chance. I think tomorrow he'll be back kind of where he normally goes.
It's entirely possible, and we'll see what happens when we have draft number 3 tomorrow. The aforementioned Tyreek Hill to Jeff Manns there. Now, this is interesting because he went Kelce in the first round. He stacked Kelce and Hill. Is that something that you would look at in a best ball, given that Patrick Mahomes is coming off a 50-touchdown season to get basically his top 2 pass catchers? I mean, you could be looking at 20-plus touchdowns between those 2 guys, Dave.
I don't know if he for sure did that intentionally. He might have just, both those players go kind of in those areas now. But it's an interesting strategy if he did try and do it on purpose, and he could always take another player.
Yep, I know where you're going with this.
So we'll see what happens. It's interesting. I think it could be. Yeah, why not, man? Give it a shot.
And by the way, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, He could go with another player in the third round.
And yeah,
He could go with another player potentially in the fourth round.
We'll see if the third round, if that would
things could get very, very interesting.
Yeah, you could just buy the whole offense.
All right, well, or somebody else. Todd Gurley falling to the 208 tonight to the Palmers as Gurley goes with Devontae Adams there from the 5 spot. George Kittle is indeed once again the third tight end off the board as he goes to Justin Boone, starting off with Elliott and Kittle. Sands and Terpoli go with Dalvin Cook here at the 210.
Hey, could you just call him Terp instead of Terpoli?
Okay. Sands and Terp.
Yeah, thanks.
Sands and Terp. That sounds like a.
It's Dave Terp, but we always call him Terp.
That sounds like a buddy comedy on USA, doesn't it?
Yeah. Starsky and Hutch. Sands and Terp.
Sands and Terp start running back Kamara and Dalvin Cook. Antonio Brown to Friedman and Caven as they get Barkley and Antonio Brown to start their draft. And winding things up here at the end of the second round is indeed Mike Evans to Mueller and Roach. Now, we talked to Danny Mueller last night, Dave, when we were broadcasting the Pros versus Joes League number 1, and he called in and said that Roach and Mueller team up quite a bit, but Danny said he handles more of the best balls that they get in, and Roach actually handles more of the 20-round managed teams this year. So I am assuming that Danny Mueller is drafting this Pros versus Joes team tonight. Maybe we'll get some crosstalk in from Jeremy Roach, either in the chat room or if you wanted to give us a call, we'd love to talk to him. Or maybe he is more than likely drafting another team right now, which is also entirely possible.
It is possible, yeah.
All right, so nothing stands out to me, I guess, in the second round. We'll follow this Le'Veon Bell thing and figure out why he has slipped. Both nights, by the way, he was scooped up by 2 accomplished FFPC Joes, Kimmer Schlischer last night, and then former, I believe, 2016 FFPC main event champion David Hubbard grabs him here at the 206 tonight. So that's interesting to follow, and we will be monitoring that going forward. Let's get into the third round of action here as Mueller and Roach get Keenan Allen. I think that's 2 nights in a row that Evans and Allen went to the same team. So they go McCaffrey, Evans, Allen to start. A.J. Green at the 302 to Friedman and Caven. He's kind of a polarizing guy this year, Dave, as we look at that Cincinnati Bengals offense. Obviously, it's the Joe Mixon show, but he's down at least 1 offensive lineman, potentially 2 offensive linemen. And Tyler Boyd really stepped up last year. A.J. Green on the wrong side of 30. He's dealt with some pretty significant injuries the last few years. You want to be in business with him at that 2-3 turn area? Is that a player that you would look at, or would you go with somebody who maybe has more of a better recent health history?
Yeah, I'm kind of passing on A.J. Green at that spot. There's other players I'd rather take. In fact, there's players that still aren't drafted that I would take over A.J. Green, and we're already like 9-10 picks later. A.J. Green normally goes at the end of the third round, early fourth, though. And when I'm looking at him, I'm seeing him being taken around the Edelman range. A.J. Green, Edelman is where you're kind of considering. And in that situation, I'm even taking Edelman over A.J. Green.
Now, is this because is that Julian Edelman thing that you've been watching? That's on Showtime, right?
Yeah, it was just a 1.5-hour single documentary.
Okay, so it's not a series. All right.
Yeah, the 100% Julian Edelman, that's not why.
Okay.
But
I didn't know if it was.
It doesn't hurt. No, but I mean,
well,
it's not why. If there was a 100% A.J. Green documentary, I probably would still be taking Edelman.
Right. Would you watch it?
Yeah, I would watch it. Yeah.
What if it was 100%? I'm trying to think of somebody that you don't. What is it? 100% Corey Davis. Would you tune in for that one, Dave?
Hell no.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll leave that one for stars.
Yes. I don't even know if stars would do that. T.Y. Hilton right after A.J. Green to Sands and Terp. Damian Williams, the dream is dead for Jeff Manns as Damian Williams goes to Justin Boone here at the 304, and he could not start off Chief. He actually could have. Chose not to. Leonard Fournette to the Palmers to pair with Gurley. Wow, isn't that weird? Gurley and Fournette in the second and third round, Dave. That's not something that we have been accustomed to seeing over the last couple of years in the FFPC, but it is the new normal this year.
Just wait till Gore goes in the 14th.
Yeah, exactly. Devontae Freeman, the Florida State alum to Jeff Manns, as he goes Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Freeman. Dude, everybody graduates at Florida State.
By the way, so if you went to the school and you left
did not graduate, you are not an alumnus. No.
Yeah, you're like a former attendee.
I don't know what the term is for it. Maybe the chat room can help us out, but there is something.
Like Mark Zuckerberg is not an alumnus of Harvard. He's
right.
Former attendees.
Something. No, that is
correct technically, but there's something else.
No, there's like some sort of Latin term or something. I don't know what it is.
Pants.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not that, but it is something hoity-toity like that.
Something no cum laude?
No, it's like it's not alma mater. It's something. It's like something like that. I can't.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
No mater.
Even though I am whatever that is of probably
Hey, you
three
graduated.
and a half dozen schools in the Midwest.
Well, you graduated from one of them.
Well, yeah, one of them I graduated from.
Well, that's the only thing that matters. You got one of them done.
All right, so David Hubbard's working on a triple running back start here as he gets Derrick Henry right after Freeman goes. Long running back run here, so bear with me. Aaron Jones to Jared Smola as he is one of two teams, along with David Hubbard, to start off with three straight running backs. The running back run ends at the 3:10. Marlon Mack to Patrick Beasley, and then Sigmund Bloom at the 3:10. Kerryon Johnson. That is both of those gentlemen's number one running back. O.J. Howard sneaks all the way up to the 3:11 tonight, followed by Amari Cooper, a player I've changed my mind on thanks to the Dizzle. When the patron saint talks, when the patron saint talks about a certain player, you listen, and I listened last night.
And he dropped 7 spots later today after yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the Dizzle bump sometimes is a bump in the wrong direction. I want to talk about this O.J. Howard pick here for a second because over the last 3 days in FFPC best ball action, he is going off as tight end 5, not till the 4:11. Now, this is interesting. I don't know if Mitchell and Clues thought there was a chance that Dave Richard might snag O.J. Howard as the fourth tight end off the board, but they clearly made it a priority to grab him here at the 3:11 tonight. I don't think I would have done that, but this it's aggressive, and I like the start here with Thomas, Chubb, and then O.J. Howard.
Yeah, I mean, if they like Howard, and there was probably, there were so many running backs that went, there was probably like 3 or 4 receivers they were fine taking at the 4:02. So they were like, all right, let's just get Howard because that's probably the guy they like better than the 2 others that haven't been drafted yet that get drafted around that same time usually.
Shane P. Hallam, one of our favorites, checking in the chat room tonight, pointing out that Dave Richard is actually going hard on Raiders. That is bound to fail, LOL. As Richard actually, and we'll get to him
back in the Raiders
here in a second. Well, I mean, technically he's got, if you look at it, technically he's got one Raider on his team, but a pretty significant former
Maybe
one.
he'll take Jalen Richard later.
That's very funny. Lorenz.
Look, if you say it's funny and don't laugh, it's really not that funny.
I smiled. That's still like that.
He's kind of smirked.
Sports Betting Man, another one of our favorites, chiming in the chat, says he likes Connor, almost likes Connor, more opportunity and workload than actual talent. Do you buy that? We always talked about how we didn't like accumulator backs, and if you look up accumulator back in the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Urban Dictionary, there's a picture of Michael Turner in there, the guy that we've always referred to as the original accumulator back. You think James Conner is an accumulator back, or is there something there?
I think Connor's pretty talented, actually. He did well. I don't think he's – the one concern I have is just that the talk about Jalen Samuels, and Jalen Samuels looked good when Connor was hurt. So I just I don't see him in the same vein as David Johnson or Joe Mixon as far as getting carries, or even like Le'Veon Bell. I think Le'Veon Bell, he's going to get a ton of carries, ton of action. I think there's a chance that Connor doesn't get that workload, and they've come out and said that. So I mean, if they're saying it, sometimes you have to kind of believe it.
Action is now concluded in the 4th round tonight as these drafters are serious business tonight. I said this was loaded, and certainly none of these drafters are because they are flying through this. Well, I mean, 4 rounds in 17 minutes, that's pretty good.
Early for the
for the booze?
Yeah,
I'm from Wisconsin. I don't understand that. Josh Jacobs at the 4:01 tonight, as we already talked about. Dave Richard from CBS Sports taking him as his number 2 running back. Then we get a little bit of a receiver run. Actually, a lot of receivers going in this 4th round here. Adam Thielen to Mitchell and Clues. Tyler Lockett to Sigmund Bloom as his 3rd receiver. Stephon Diggs to Patrick Beasley at the 4:04, followed by Julian Edelman to Jared Smola from DraftSharks.com. He's watching that documentary. We kid about that a little bit, Dave, but I think that there is a little bit of a bump for certain players, certain skill guys, and not necessarily in the early rounds, but in the mid to latter rounds, especially at best ball drafts, for guys that are standing out on Hard Knocks or not necessarily making plays, but somebody who's looking really good on film there. And I think that rightly or wrongly, that happens sometimes.
When vice versa, when the Dolphins were on, I immediately
faded everyone.
Yeah, no Dolphins were being drafted. The coach was the dumbest guy of all time. And they finally fired him.
Joe Philbin?
Yeah, he was terrible. I mean, he's a beta. How do you elect a beta male as a coach?
Well,
or not elect, but you know what I mean? Like,
he wasn't a rah-rah
guy. Probably the board of directors and the Dolphins did a coaching search, and they elected him to be the coach.
Yeah, he was. He's an X's and O's type guy that is much better as a coordinator. He's not the type of guy that is going to fire you up and get ready. Nobody's running through a brick wall for Joe Philbin. When the pregame speech is like, all right, fellas, this is a big game. We really need to win this one if we want to get to the playoffs. So let's go out there and get it done. And that was Joe Philbin at like his most. It's one of those things. But it kept you away from Dolphins that year, so it clearly served a purpose. After Julian Edelman goes to Smola at the 4:05 tonight, we see David Hubbard take his fourth straight running back as he gets Kenyon Drake from those aforementioned Dolphins to go as his number 4 running back behind David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, and Derrick Henry. Mark Ingram is the pick after that to Jeff Manns, who gets him as his second running back. Kenny Golladay, the second receiver to the Palmers, to pair with Devontae Adams as he goes at the 4:08 tonight, followed by the Rams receiver Robert Woods, the new number 1 receiver for the Scores, Justin Boone. David Montgomery climbs up to the 4:10 tonight as he goes to Sands and Turp, and a pair of receivers to end the 4th round. Brandon Cooks to Friedman and Cabin, and then DJ Moore to Miller and Roach.
They're happy about that.
Loading up on those Panthers. I feel like last year they loaded up on McCaffrey and DJ Moore in a lot of spots, and certainly they're paying a higher price for DJ Moore this year, Dave. But, man, the breakout potential of him is not only high, but it could be very, very juicy for fantasy purposes when you're grabbing him in the 4th or even the 5th round of an FFPC league.
Well, yeah, almost every single, pundit, advice site or whatever is talking about DJ Moore's breakout. And, he's being drafted, I think, as wide receiver 19 or so on average. We've been talking about him for a long time. He's being drafted as if he's going to break out, but he does have upside from there. He could actually be a WR1. It is possible. He's got the pedigree. He has that super high phenom score. We love him. We've been talking about forever, so we're just like everybody else. I think it's a great pick at the end of the 4th round. I think the Brandon Cooks pick was – I thought the A.J. Green pick was early for Team 2, but the Brandon Cooks pick, they got some value there at the 4:11 for Cooks. I think he goes a little bit earlier, more like the 4:4, 4:5, 4:3 range.
Well, I'll tell you right now, A.J. Green normally at the 4:02 in FFPC best balls, and Brandon Cooks is who you're asking me?
Yeah, about the same area, right?
4:07.
4:07, all right. So maybe four spots, not too much.
If I set the over-under on total catches for DJ Moore this year at 73, would you take the over or would you take the under?
That's actually a pretty good number, to be honest.
Thank you very much,
Did you
Dave.
get that off of a sports book?
Sure didn't. The only sports book I go off of is in my head, and it's not a lucrative sports book.
If I had to bet, I probably would. Oh man,
you're gonna go under.
I might bet the under just because there's the risk of injury. So if I was betting on it, I would bet the under probably.
Okay.
Just because there's the risk of injury. Miss 2 games, all of a sudden you have no shot. If I'm drafting him, I'm thinking he's going to be doing a little bit better than that.
Do you like tight ends, Dave?
Yes.
Perfect. Then you're going to love this 5th round tonight because a bunch of them just went off the board. Hunter Henry at the 5:01 to Mueller and Roach, followed by Evan Engram. Evan Engram, by the way, going off the board as tight end 6 tonight to Cabin and Friedman here from the Action Network. I bet they could probably set a decent total on DJ Moore total catches this year. Chris Godwin off the board to the team of Sands and Turp as their number 2 receiver. He goes at the 5:03 tonight. Chris Carson is the 3rd running back drafted by Justin Boone, followed by Calvin Ridley, the 3rd receiver drafted by Mark and Amy Palmer. Tevin Coleman, the new San Francisco 49ers running back, is the 3rd runner drafted by Jeff Manns. Vance McDonald off the board. Boy, Vance McDonald in the 5th round. Does that look weird to you?
Yeah, it looks a little weird to me, yeah.
I'm totally not used to seeing that. However, Dave, I can tell you that he normally does go in the 6th round of FFPC best ball drafts.
Wow.
Kind of later 6th round, but it's still 6th round.
We should discuss Vance McDonald in depth. We haven't really done that much.
Okay, let's do that in 1 second, but let's talk about Meehan, David Hubbard's team here in general. He goes 0 WR tonight as he goes 4 running backs followed by a tight end. So this is an interesting strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off for him. But listen, he does a lot of drafts. He knows where players go.
He doesn't do a lot of best balls.
He doesn't do a lot of best balls. That is true.
Fine.
But this is not an approach I would take, Dave. But I know that he is David Hubbard is not the only one that swears by this in best balls, grabbing these elite running backs right away to and then sort of cobble your receivers together later.
Yeah, and he'll be fine. I mean, the thing is, he does know players. He knows them really well, and he also knows where players get drafted. Even if you don't do a lot of best balls, it's not that huge of an adjustment as long as you're taking enough of everybody. I think he'll be just fine.
What do you want to say about Vance McDonald this year?
Well, we haven't talked about him much, but he's an interesting player. He's got some talent, and what he doesn't really have what the Steelers don't really have is a number 2 wide receiver. They have James Washington. They have Deontay Johnson. So what do they really have there? What they're looking for someone other than Juju to get some targets, and I think Vance McDonald kind of fits that bill, and that's what people are drafting him for.
All right, so I'll just say this. Is there a possibility, and not all of Antonio Brown's targets, but could Juju Smith-Schuster set a Steelers record for most targets in one season this year?
Is this where you say he gets 270 and
not going to say it. I'm not going to say that. No, there's no bulky radio joke here coming up. This is just me asking an honest question.
Well, no, I think Juju had a ton of targets last year anyway. I think there's a chance that they run the ball more, that they throw passes to running backs a bit more, and I think that tight ends get targeted more. I mean, James Washington could break out. I guess I'm a little.
Juju Smith-Schuster likes James Washington.
Does he? Well, that's good.
Yeah, he was talking him up. That might have just been, as the kids say, pumping up his boy. We don't know. That could have had something to do with it, but he did say it. By the way, the Joe Philbin impersonation that I just did, getting what's the opposite of rave reviews?
Oh, is it the same as your Trump imitation?
No, that's different. Sports Betting Man said after I did the Philbin impersonation, Balky's 23rd best voice, his top 10. Hold on, his Balky's 23rd best voice, his top 10 to 20 are brilliant.
Yeah.
So that fell below the brilliant level.
Yeah.
I'll try to get better, everybody. I will try to get better. That is my promise.
We all appreciate it.
Patrick Mahomes, the first quarterback off the board tonight to Jared Smola at the 5:08.
Jeff Mans blew his shot at it. He could have had Mahomes.
He could have had him.
Fifth round.
Well, yeah. Once he couldn't get Damian Williams in the third, I think that's what crushed the ultimate tribe, as I can say. Or is that politically incorrect because it's Chiefs? I don't know.
I think tribe is still okay.
Okay.
Well, in 10 years it won't be okay, but it's fine now.
Right now? Okay,
yeah,
thank
still
you.
Allowed.
Appreciate that. Philip Lindsay to Patrick Beasley here is his number 2 running back. Jared Cook, the first tight end for Sigmund Bloom as he grabs him. Sigmund Bloom in this competition normally grabs a tight end in the first round or two, and then he waited this year. So Jared Cook goes to the 5'10". He's evolving, Dave. Darrell Henderson to Mitchell and Clues here. Darrell Henderson at the 5'11" as their number 2 running back, followed by Tariq Cohen to Dave Richard from CBS Sports. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your 5th round, the most colorful round of the night so far, as we saw the quarterbacks get cracked, and we saw 4 tight ends go off the board in this round. What do you make of the Darrell Henderson pick at 5'11" with the admittedly little information we're getting on Todd Gurley right now? Seems to be more positive. What do you make of this Darrell Henderson pick at 5'11"?
Well, I probably would have gone with either Cohen or James White. Actually, I thought both of those were solid value picks, and I don't mind Darrell Henderson, but he's a risky player in that you really, for him to have value, standalone value, Gurley's got to definitely have reduced playing time, which I think is going to happen. But I think that there's just less risk, and I think just as much there's more upside with Darrell Henderson if Gurley is truly really hurt,
right?
And he plays and misses time like he did last year late in the season. So there's that. Interestingly enough, Tariq Cohen going, 15 picks later or 14 picks later than David Montgomery. Last night, Kimura took Cohen ahead of Montgomery.
2 picks ahead of Montgomery. That is correct, yeah.
So those get flipped by quite a bit here.
Cohen normally going at 5:05 in an FFPC best ball draft. That is it for through 5 rounds here, and the reviews are coming in the chat room, Dave. Sports Betting Man saying that if he had to buy a team, or if he was going to buy a team right now, he would buy Team 2 after 5 rounds. That is Matthew Friedman and Dave Caban from the Action Network.
Well, do you guys buy artwork when it's halfway full? I mean, halfway done. Let's go here.
Sometimes that's the cheapest price. Barkley, Brown, Green, Cooks, Engram are the picks there for Caban and Freeman. Shane P. Hellam doesn't like any teams. He said Team 1 is probably his favorite, though. Let's move on and get into the 6th round here. As Dave Richard has gone 3 straight running backs with his last 3 picks, it is James White at the 6:01 to pair with Josh Jacobs and Tariq Cohen. Remember, he also took James Conner in the first round, so he has 4 running backs, 2 receivers here, and now throwing caution to the wind as he waits to get back to that 7-12 to see what's left for him at a different position. Mike Williams to Mitchell and Clues here is their number 3 receiver. Allen Robinson is the 4th receiver drafted by Sigmund Bloom here at the 6:03. Sony Michel to Patrick Beasley right after that. And then it's all receivers the rest of the way in the 6th round, everybody.
That's a massive run.
Alshon Jeffrey to Jared Smola. Alshon Jeffries to Jared Smola. Christian Kirk to David Hubbard. Are we doing that with any other players, just so I'm aware that I don't
just Adam Humphrey and Alshon Jeffries.
Got it. Will
There's
Fuller.
only 2 players, man.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure I'm keeping it straight. I got a lot of things floating in my mind here.
Jarvis Landry's.
Are we doing it with Jarvis?
No.
Okay. Then don't say stuff like that because then I'm not sure. I got to go Will Fuller's on this next pick to Jeff Mans. Or is it Jeff Mann? I guess we won't know. Will Fuller to Jeff Mans here. Jarvis Landry, the Palmers, Mark and Amy, take Jarvis Landry as their fourth receiver. Robbie Anderson to Justin Boone. Dante Pettis to Mike Sands and Dave Turp, followed by Cooper Kupp and Tyler Boyd to end things here in the sixth round. What a massive, massive receiver run. That was 8 straight receivers here in the sixth round. Do you like, I know you're a fan of both Cooper Kupp and Tyler Boyd. They both went off roughly at the same spot tonight. Kupp at the 6'11", Boyd at the 6'12". If you were faced with the decision that Friedman and Caban were faced and you narrowed it down between Kupp and Boyd, Dave, is Kupp coming off the ACL enough for you to say, give me Boyd instead, or would you have gone with Kupp there?
I think I might have answered this last night, but I'm taking Boyd over Kupp. I have concerns about Cooper Kupp. I'm not drafting him really much this year.
Josh Mack, 22 in the chat room, is liking Terp's team. So there's all the favorites apparently are coming on the left side of the board. The right side of the board is everybody's beating each other up over there.
The left side already has more picks.
Through six rounds.
All right, fair enough.
We're saying that. Shane P. Hallam's also calling David Montgomery a pick to win. I believe I'm reading that correctly. So that is, I'll say this right now. I think David Montgomery, Dave, is probably going to be on our ascendant semifinalist list as we're getting closer and closer to that, about a month away before we announce the 2019 FFPC Ascendant. I think he's got to be on that list.
Man, time keeps on ticking, man. It's getting closer and closer to the season.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's been, like there's so much time still, but there's really not. Anyway, back to your question. Yeah, I think he will be on the list.
Question, would you like to field from the chat room here? As Sports Betting Man says, yo, jerk sack. I'm assuming that's you, Gerzak. Winky face. Who's your quarterback number 2 this year? And for the sake of letting everybody know here in the 7th round when we get to it, 2 more quarterbacks are already off the board. Patrick Mahomes seems like he's everybody's number 1 quarterback. Do you have a number 2 that you like better than the rest, Dave, or do they kind of get lumped together for you?
I do like this. If I was going to take a quarterback early, I would take Deshaun Watson second.
And why do you like him over Luck, who went back? They went back to back here.
I like his rushing ability. I like Deshaun Watson's their offense as far as they don't have a really great run game with Lamar Miller, and so I do like the receivers. And I'm hoping that QT and Will Fuller both stay healthy. But even if just one of them is healthy to go along with DeAndre Hopkins, that's pretty nice. So yeah, that's the reasoning for me.
Well, listen, hey, I'm not gonna fight you on it, man. We're here to appease, and we wanted to answer that question from the chat room, and we did indeed.
I really do like in that. I don't want to draft quarterbacks quite that early, but I like taking like Mayfield's and Kyler Murray's, and even the Russell Wilsons at the 11-12 range at QB this year. I think that's gonna work out really well.
So you basically want to be one of the last teams to draft a quarterback.
Well, Mayfield usually goes like 5th, 4th, 5th with
so you
Rodgers,
would take Mayfield,
and then Murray goes around like 7 or so, and then Wilson's going around 11 or 12. So
you would take Mayfield ahead of Aaron Rodgers this year, right?
I just am very concerned about LaFleur and the way that they're going to run that offense. I just don't, like when you have changes like that, Rodgers is getting older and Mayfield's on the upside and upswing, and he does have better receivers. So
ADP separates those 2 players by about 8 spots. Rodgers going in front of Mayfield. Can you guess? Well, let's not get to that yet. Let's save something for later.
Yeah, I'm trying not to name players that haven't been taken yet, but I'm still not doing that good at it.
Well, the great thing about pros versus Joes, Dave, is everybody knows everybody here. That they know who's gone, they know who's not gone. Let's get through the 7th round because our drafters tonight just did as we enter the bottom half of our number 1 here. Latavius Murray, the number 2 running back, drafted by Mueller and Roach at the 701. I already told you about the quarterbacks: Watson to Friedman and Caban. Andrew Luck to Sands and Turp, followed by 3 straight receivers: Sammy Watkins to Justin Boone, Corey Davis to Mark and Amy Palmer, followed by Golden Tate at the 706 tonight to Jeff Mans. Rashad Penny, the 5th running back, drafted by David Hubbard tonight, and he'll tell you, well, I'm just going to keep taking them. You guys draft your receivers, draft your tight ends. I'm going to keep taking these running backs. So he gets 5 running backs in his first 7 picks. We'll see how he fills in the cracks after that. Austin Hooper goes off the board tonight here at the 708 is what it is, and I believe he is tight end 9. Yes, tight end 9 off the board is Austin Hooper, the number 1 for Jared Smola. Baker Mayfield to Patrick Beasley as his starting quarterback. Austin Eckler to Sigmund Bloom as his number 2 running back here at the 7-10. Cortland Sutton to Mitchell and Clues at the 7-11. And then Aaron Rodgers to Dave Richard from CBS Sports as his starting quarterback here in the 7th round. Quarterbacks are aplenty here, Dave. Well, we didn't see anything too out of the ordinary like we did last night. We'll get to more of that in the 8th round. But 4 quarterbacks go off the board here in the 7th round. And I think anybody who is trying to get a, quote, semi-elite one, that was sort of the cutoff. I know you'll probably disagree with me given who just went at the 803, but we'll see how the quarterbacks are going to fly off the board after this. I'm very interested in to see that given that we have seen one team without two teams without a tight end right now. So we've kind of already seen where they're going. We'll see how the second wave comes in here. Anything stand out from you in the 7th round here, Dave? Any picks you want to talk about? I guess the one, if I was to go one of these things that is not like the other, it'd probably be Austin Eckler at the 7-10, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad pick.
Yeah, it's not a pick I would have made. He's just because he's supposed to deal with Justin Jackson, and he's supposed to, Melvin Gordon has to not play as much, and he does have standalone value, but I think in the 7th round it's just not the direction I would have headed. But that's Sigmund Bloom, he's a great player, so I mean, it's hard to question him. Not
too far off from his normal ADP either. Eckler normally going at the 805, so certainly there's a lot to like there with Eckler. And with the standalone value too, I think you pointed out, he is going to catch passes in that Chargers offense this year. He did last year as well. And if Gordon were to hold out, or if he were to get traded, if he were to go down, that is only going to increase Austin Eckler's value. Want to remind everybody, if you are listening to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour for the first time, we do this year-round Friday nights at 10/9 Central. We do have a live chat room. We have a different high-stakes player on every single week to pick their brain, get some insight into what they're doing in their drafts, their team management. That is year-round. On-demand streaming, always available for listening at any time. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, Podbean, and Overcast. Pretty much anywhere there's podcasts, you will find us. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, spend the next hour and 24 minutes trying to figure that one out. At least give us 2 hours tonight. Okay, so let's get into the 8th round here, Dave. Eric Ebron. I know where I stand on Eric Ebron. Dave Richard takes him as his number 1 tight end, and we talked about the risk that he ran by not taking one in the last turn that he had. It didn't really come back to bite him because there weren't a whole lot of tight ends that went off the board. How do you feel about Eric Ebron this year with the signing of Devin Funchess, the drafting of Paris Campbell, and the return of Jack Doyle? I'm baiting you into something here.
What was the question again?
Eric Ebron this year. Do you like Eric Ebron at the 801?
At the 801, it's not that bad. It's getting kind of late for Ebron, isn't it? What was his ADP again?
I can tell you, excuse me, over the last 3 days in FFPC Best Ball Draft State, Eric Ebron normally going at the 601. So, yeah, so 2 rounds of value there.
That's the thing is I don't generally take Ebron. I probably wouldn't have, but I mean, there at the 801, I'm for sure all on board at that spot.
You didn't have a tight end, too, for Dave Richard.
I think that was really good value. I mean, also picking up Aaron Rodgers there at the 712, I think that was a really good turn for them.
Sometimes patience is rewarded, and it was rewarded for Dave Richard here.
Well, the thing that was nice is the way that this draft kind of fell for them. A lot of times you get these best ball drafts where someone will start stacking tight ends. They'll grab like 2 or 3 teams will take 2 tight ends, and all of a sudden that just screws it up for everybody else. But this is like a gentleman's draft for tight end because everyone's just taking their 1 tight end and then moving on and doing other positions.
All right, perfect. We were just talking about Eckler, Packer chiming in the chat room. Hot yoga before the draft for Sigmund Bloom. Got to do that before you reach like that for Austin Eckler. Shane Hallam says he likes Luck as his number 2 quarterback this year. And then I should also bring up Sports Betting Man talking about Golden Tate here, who went in the 7th round to Jeff Manns at the 706. He says,
that's early.
Watch Golden Tate be a league-winning type flex. 2-packer. Quit being nice. That was an expletive pick. So 2-packer, not a fan of that. We'll get to the 8th round here, but Shane Hallam pointing out that he thought Curtis Samuel was a nice pick, and then Josh Mack 22, Dave, wants to know what you think of the Carolina receivers this year. We kind of already talked about DJ Moore. I know you like Curtis Samuel, though, too.
I do. I hate the fact that I drafted Samuel a lot as a rookie in Dynasty Leagues, and then cut him because he didn't really do much of anything. I kind of ran out of roster room, big deal. And then I kept trying to trade back for him everywhere. And no one wants to trade. I was trying to trade like second-round picks, whatever. No one trades them to me. I'm so pissed. I think Samuel is a breakout player. He also had a high phenom score too, and he just took us, one more year to break out because he came off that injury.
If I told you I'm going to set the over/under on Curtis Samuel catches this year at 44.
Way over.
Really? Even factoring the injury into
Curtis Samuel at over a certain number of weeks. I can't remember what the stat was.
Okay.
He had the same stats as DJ Moore last year during weeks blank to blank. Let's say 6 to 16. They were pretty equivalent as far as scoring goes. So, I mean, Samuel is a darn good player, and they got rid of Funchess. There's plenty of targets available.
Okay. I just didn't know because, he had that ankle or that foot thing coming out of Ohio State. He had problems kind of shedding that. And now, maybe it's behind him, but I don't know what the risk for re-injury for a foot injury like that is. But certainly the price you're paying for him.
He was healthy last year, all year, right?
I don't know about all year. Maybe he was. I don't remember.
They didn't use him very much early on. Then he kind of broke out later, and then they finally realized that Funch just sucked, and then they started playing him a lot more. You know what I mean? So let me just look at his game logs real quick. Yeah, forget it. Go ahead.
Okay, you look it up. I'll take everybody through the rest of the 8th round here. There's some other picks we should talk about as well. Kiki QT to Mitchell and Clues here at the 8:02, followed by Kyler Murray. Last night's quarterback 5. He is tonight's quarterback 6. As Kyler Murray goes to Sigmund Bloom as his starting quarterback. Lamar Miller off the board as the number 4 running back for Patrick Beasley. First team to double up on tight ends does so in consecutive rounds. It's Draft Sharks' Jared Smola, following up his 7th round Austin Hooper with an 8th round David Njoku. We just talked about Curtis Samuel going to David Hubbard here as his number 2 receiver. Do you have those game logs, Dave? As long as
I think he did miss weeks 14 through 17, or at least I can't pull him up.
Okay. All right, so he may have got shut down, but while he was healthy for the first part of the season, he was certainly cooking along, Dave.
Well, the first 6 weeks they barely used him, but then week 7, 5 for 55 and a touchdown, then 2 for 17 and a touchdown, 6 for 88, 4 for 80, 1 for 17, 7 for 41, and then 2 for 72 and a touchdown. Not great, but reasonably decent for a part-time player. He was getting spot starts. I remember last year, and certain teams were using him.
Everybody's echoing sort of your Funchess take. Josh Mack 22. Funchess always sucked. Shane P. Hallam. I like Funchess coming out of Michigan, but he has always sucked. No, Funchess should mean reception and yards progression, though, therefore, Samuel. James Washington off the board as number 4 receiver for Jeff Manns. Royce Freeman, the number 3 running back, drafted by Mark and Hamey Palmer here, so it's Gurley, Fournette, and Freeman for their backfield. Sterling Shepard off the board, a little bit more than a round right after Golden Tate goes. Sterling Shepard goes to Justin Boone from thescore.com as his number 4 receiver. Marvin Jones and Larry Fitzgerald to Sands and Terp and Cabin and Friedman, respectively. Last pick of the 8th round, it is Matt Ryan to Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach. Matt Ryan, who, by the way, in FFPC best ball drafts, holds an identical ADP to one Baker Mayfield. You prefer Mayfield over Ryan?
Yeah, but not by much. Just by a little bit. Look at the value they picked up with Ryan and then the pick after that, which we're going to talk about soon.
Let's talk about the 901 pick here because we've been talking a lot of Carolina. Now, you've been on the record that you think Christian McCaffrey is catching 350 passes this year.
Oh, here we go. There's the radio.
First 2 months of the season by itself. DJ Moore is going to catch a lot of passes. Curtis Samuel, you believe, is going to catch a lot of passes. Thus, the transitive property, Dave, would state that you should be all over one Cameron Newton this year.
Yeah, Cam is great.
And you are. You like him.
I always like Cam. Quarterbacks are super deep, but he's coming off the shoulder surgery. They say he looks good. I like Cam.
He is quarterback 12 at the 908 right now, which I think is really good value. And I'll tell you what, if the prices stay like that for Cam Newton, I will be owning a lot of Cam Newton this year as well when you can get him as the 12th quarterback going off the board. No concerns about his surgically repaired shoulder, my friend?
There's always a little bit of concern, but I think he's doing fine. Like I said, they say he's progressing nicely. I don't see any issues with that. I love that Mueller and Roach, and you can tell that these guys do best ball all the time. When you're at that corner like that, taking Ryan and Cam Newton together,
I was just going to ask you about
great.
this.
Yeah, I love it. This is
even with only 2 running backs on the roster.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of a problem, but what they're trying to do, which didn't, as we're about to find out, didn't really work that much, is to force the quarterback equation. In a normal best ball league, this generally does work, where quarterbacks really start to fly up. I think in this league they're going to fly off in the 10th round, but we'll see. We'll see what happens shortly.
For those of you scoring at home, or even if you're alone, that is 3 Carolina Panthers for Mueller and Roach. Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach take Christian McCaffrey at the 101, DJ Moore at the 412, and now Cam Newton here at the 901. Miles Sanders, he is the number 2 running back for Caban and Freeman from the Action Network. Miles Sanders going at the 902 tonight. Dallas Goedert, not a starting tight end for his own team. He is a starting tight end for Sands and Terpoli, as I believe they are the last, yes, that is correct, the last team to take a tight end. Hand in the cookie jar on that one, Dave, a little bit, as Goddard is now their starter.
And Dave Chirp is a Schmeagles fan.
Maybe he knows something that we don't.
Yeah, maybe he's reading the Philadelphia, whatever the Philadelphia defunct paper is.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. Inquirer, maybe?
Evening, night
Daily
paper.
Dispatch. Anybody know the local, what do they call those rags? Something, fish rags? Is that what they're called? The local fish rag in Philly?
Birdcage liner? I don't know.
Well, whatever. He was like, there's no value with Ertz in the second round. Give me Goddard in the 9th. And there's a lot of, those guys aren't the only Goddard fans this year. There's plenty of Dallas Goddard fans roaming these parts that will be taking him fairly high in drafts. The guy throwing to him in real life is Carson Wentz, and he goes with the very next pick to Justin Boone from the Score. Delaney Walker, the corpse of Delaney Walker, still troping around these draft boards here, Dave, as Delaney Walker goes off the board at the 905 to the Palmers as their starting tight end. Oh, so I take that back. They were the last team without a tight end, and they get Delaney Walker there. Dante Moncrief off the board as the 5th receiver from Jeff Manns. Trey Burton is the backup tight end, drafted by David Hubbard to go with Vance McDonald. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or as the kids call him, MVS, is the 3rd receiver drafted by Jared Smola. One of Dave's favorites this year, Jalen Samuels, is the number 5 running back taken by Patrick Beasley. He now has 2 receivers and 5, count them, 5 running backs. Interesting strategy. Jordan Howard, not saying it's bad.
But you were inferring those.
No, well, if I listen, listen, I did not infer that.
Okay, I'm saying it.
Okay, well,
I didn't. Well, you take Hopkins and you take Diggs in the first 4 rounds, and then you kind of just give up that wide receiver advantage that you had and just let it go to everybody else.
But he did make up for it with Ertz and Mayfield. Something to be said for that.
No, but they're different positions.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can have a bit of.
It's fine to take Ertz and Mayfield. That's great, but then you take all those running backs and then just kind of give up on receiver and let everybody else catch up. And now you're taking wide receivers like 48 and 55 or whatever with your next receiver picks.
Well, maybe he'll take.
We'll see how they are. They're going to be great picks. This pick right here might be outstanding.
Yes, there's Patrick Beasley on the clock here in the 10th round. Let's wrap up the 9th here. Jordan Howard right after Jalen Samuels to Sigmund Bloom. That is his number 3 running back. Drew Brees to Jason Mitchell and Kevin Clues at the 9-11 here as their starting quarterback. And D.D. Westbrook off the board at the 9-12 with Dave Richard. What am I missing on D.D. Westbrook? I'm not a fan. Have never really been that big of a fan, and it seems like there's a little bit of a hype train.
Okay, well they have an improved quarterback play. You don't have Bortles anymore. You
have
have
Nick Foles.
Right? Yep. He's a 3rd-year player, so there's a 3rd-year breakout. That's one of the things. And the team kind of has a need for a number 1 wide receiver. So who's that going to be? Is it DJ Chark, who goes in like the 23rd round? It doesn't seem like it. He's got the typical size and speed. Keelan Cole. Is it the other guys? I don't normally draft Jags wide receivers, but Westbrook seems to be kind of the guy that people are targeting to be the number 1 receiver on the team and possibly then a top 25 or whatever receiver.
Right.
I don't know if I believe that or anything.
Well, listen, we don't. The stuff we say on this show, we don't have to believe it. It's just.
And Marquise Lee's coming back from injury. There's that, and then Chris Conley, he's always been like a metrics person, but he's never really done anything in the NFL.
Didn't they draft the tight end that you kind of like for dynasty purposes?
Oh yeah, Josh Oliver. I like
yeah.
him a lot actually for dynasty purposes.
Okay, all right, and out of the backfield, I don't think there's any luminary pass catcher there that's ready to steal a bunch of looks from Nick Foles. But you're right. The improved quarterback play should help, no question. Marquez Valdez-Scantling here at the 908. I don't think that this is a player that you would want to be in business with. You've already cited because you've already cited concerns with the Green Bay passing game.
Yeah, but I've told you I like MVS. I swear you don't listen to what I say.
I don't.
Obviously you don't.
Yeah, no.
I don't like Geronimo Allison. I like MVS. I've liked him a long time. I own him in like 5 dynasty leagues. So
okay.
Yeah, I do.
But that's dynasty. Why do you like him? Well, why do you like him for redraft this year with LaFleur's
because Aaron Rodgers is still a 40-some 100-yard quarterback. He's still a Pro Bowler, awesome player. and Devontae Adams, and then you have, the ghost of Jimmy Graham. He's getting older.
Right.
So, the number 2 receiver for Green Bay, granted, it's a different system, has generally done fine. Even the number 3 sometimes has done well, if you remember James Jones back in the day. So, yeah, I like MVS, and he's a player that they've been ranting and raving about, saying that he's made for this offense and all that crap.
Ranting and raving.
Yeah,
Devontae Adams actually has been praising MVS quite a bit.
Yeah, so, you have Equimania St. Brown, you have
Jamon Moore, Jake
Jake
Kumaro, Trevor Davis.
Yaman Moore. I feel like
Yaman Moore.
Yes,
Is that what it is? Is that how you pronounce it?
No, it's Jamon Moore, but
or
Yaman or 9.
Oh, whatever.
I like MVS.
Yeah, I thought it was Yaman.
It is.
Okay, there you go.
Anyway, this is the word. Can we start the show over?
Marquez Valdez-Scantling has been running, at least in minicamp, as the outside receiver with Geronimo Allison in the slot. However, I can tell you this, too. Based on everything I've read about the Packers, everything I've heard, Adams, Allison, MVS have been on the field more than any other receiver. They've also been moving around quite a bit. Adams has been in the slot. Allison's been in the slot. MVS has been in the slot. So maybe we'll see a lot of that this year, too, with this Packers offense. Moving on.
Rodgers, 16 of 19 for 194 yards and 2 touchdowns and 54 rushing attempts. What a great game by the Packers.
Yeah, well, hey, whatever it translates into W's, I'm a fan of.
Whatever, I only care about fantasy.
I know you don't. I know that you do. You only care about fantasy. Ronald Jones, the number 5 running back for Dave Richard here as we kick off the 10th round. A lot of running backs in this round. Geronimo Allison to Mitchell and Clues as their number 6 receiver. Damian Harris to Sigmund Bloom. Jerick McKinnon to Patrick Beasley. So he goes with another running back there. That might have been a spite pick because he didn't care for what you said about his receivers, Dave.
Good job, buddy.
Darius Yace to Jared Smola there. DraftSharks.com takes the Washington quasi-rookie running back. Russell Wilson is the first quarterback drafted by David Hubbard.
That's late for Geis. Wow.
Yes, and Hubbard now has one more receiver than quarterback on his team. Ito Smith to Jeff Manns right after that to pair with Devontae Freeman. You like that stack in a best ball? Devontae Freeman, Ito Smith?
I love it, actually. Yeah, I think that's a really great. Unlike all of his receiver picks after Tyreek Hill, I think that's a great selection.
He actually already also has Tevin Coleman on his team, Dave, so he has the entire 2018 Falcons backfield on his roster
Nice.
for 10 rounds.
Yeah.
That is hard to do.
It's like Monopoly.
Ben Roethlisberger to Mark and Amy Palmer as their starting quarterback. Justin Boone backing up his quarterback, Carson Wentz, with one Jameis Winston. Of course, former number 1 overall pick and led Florida State to a national championship, Jameis Winston. Mark Andrews is backing up Mike Sands and Dave Turp's team here at tight end as Andrews goes to Goddard. Dave, what's the over-under in weeks that Andrews starts in this format over Goddard?
10. It's a much better pick.
Let's look at this. Let's silver lining here. Great pick of Mark Andrews here in the 10th round is the way to look at it.
Goddard could be all right. I mean, he's a super talented player. I think I love him as a player, actually. He's just blocked by Ertz to some extent. They're going to throw to him a lot.
Okay, so fair enough.
Goddard might be right.
Let's finish up the round here. Kyle Rudolph backing up Evan Ingram for Cabin and Friedman, and then Deontay Foreman is the 10th round pick, the final pick of the 10th round here to Miller and Roach as their number 3 running back. No concerns with their backfield for you? Maybe a little bit of concern?
We'll see how it turns out, right? But I think McCaffrey and Murray, that's the way they constructed their team on purpose. That's why the receivers are awesome, and Henry's a great player, and they've got great quarterbacks. Right now, they're just kind of sort of weak at RB2, and they're weak at RB3 for sure. So that's, whatever. It's okay.
Now, I know you're concerned. You got to be concerned because I know you don't like Miles Sanders with the Friedman-Cabin backfield. I know the foundation.
Yes, I am concerned about
that. The foundation has only been built yet, but the walls could be a little bit shaky at running back for the Action Network squad.
Their receivers are fantastic. In fact, they could probably cut out receiver for another 4 rounds or so because they've got 5 now. So they could do all right. There's still plenty of running backs out there actually in rounds 12 through 15 that are the pass catching backs, other guys I don't want to name. There's a lot of options out there.
Well, we will name them when they go off the board.
That Darius Geis pick, though, what is his ADP, man? He went like the 7th round yesterday. This is like the 10:05.
He did go much higher. Darius Geis normal ADP at the 7:04 for the last 3 days.
That's 36 picks, 37 picks of value for Smola. That is incredible. And he could even do some other stuff if he wants to coming up. So we'll see what happens.
I screwed it up. He should have taken Geis the round before and the round before that. So I'm not going to give him too much.
He's like, I hate Geis. Oh, damn it. Fine, I'll take it.
Okay, all of a sudden I sort of like him. Damian Harris, what do you make of this pick here at the 10:03 tonight, Dave? You're not a Sony Michel guy, I know. And Damian Harris, a guy that the Patriots invested a third-round pick in, a guy who does not have a ton of mileage on him, given that the Alabama Crimson Tide has a cornucopia of running backs seemingly every single year. Last year was no different. You like a Damian Harris in the 10th? Because I think I do.
I do too. Harris, there's, college football metrics. That gentleman likes Harris.
R.C. Fisher?
R.C. Fisher. He liked Harris as much as Josh Jacobs, actually, and other people did as well.
Wow.
Harris, that shouldn't be a wow. You know why it shouldn't be?
All right, tell me.
Because the Alabama played Harris more than they played Jacobs. He was more productive than Jacobs. But, you get the whole draft goes on, he's better for the NFL, this or that. And then, who takes Jacobs? One of the worst organizations in all of football history. And who takes Harris?
With one of the greatest GMs.
One of the best organizations in football history. So, yeah, you have to believe in it. And, Sony Michel's on the active PUP list already.
Right.
Last night, Michel today actually, I think, went kind of where he should go, and it was like the 6th round. Last night he went the 312.
Very high yesterday, yeah. Much lower tonight.
I think Harris is a nice pick there to get, to answer your question.
I wonder if, because Patrick Beasley took Michel in the 6th. I wonder if he would have taken Damian Harris instead of Jerick McKinnon had Harris been available. Harris went one pick before he went in the 10th round.
I mean, he's been stacking running backs like crazy.
So he doesn't care.
Obviously not. He could have taken Harris in the 8th round when he took Lamar Miller. He should have taken him in the 9th round when he took Jalen Samuels. If he really wanted him, he could have taken him.
Okay. Ronald Jones in the 10th. Listen,
you can't argue with last year's stats with Rojo. I want him to be good, but he had like 40 rushing yards on the year.
Yeah, he averaged like 1-something yards a carry.
Yeah.
Now it's a new year. They've been talking him up
yeah.
in Tampa, no question. But you know what they have not been talking up, and you know what really hasn't changed from last year, and maybe it has behind closed doors, and I'm not seeing it. Where's the pass catching opportunity going to come from with Ronald Jones? I mean, he didn't catch it last year. We know Peyton Barber can do it with aplomb. We've heard the Duke Johnson rumors to Tampa. There's another Tampa Bay running back down there that I know people like. So I look at Ronald Jones here in the 10th. Seems like a good value, but I don't know, maybe not so much.
It's an interesting point because Rojo was not a pass catcher in college, and the argument was that they just didn't throw to the running backs that USC didn't. And I kind of bought into that, actually. And then he was so bad last year, both in preseason and in the regular season, that you just can't – there's just so little to go on at this point, other than that he was good in college, and he's a fast player, a good running back. He's gained weight, and whether that's good or bad, we'll find out. I mean, he could make him more sluggish to be a negative about it. I mean, who knows?
Shane P. Helm chiming in the chat says he likes Geis in the 10th, low risk, high reward. He doesn't want any Patriot running backs this year, and he says Bruce Arians will get Jones to catch this year. So hopefully,
there you go. I like it.
For the one dynasty squad, I still have him on.
I got him in a couple.
Do you really?
I think so. Yeah. I didn't trade him at
all. Dave Chiodo, by the way, former guest of this show, says that you better get him Velcro to get him a catch. Yeah. Let's move on to the 11th round here, Dave. I kind of went backwards in that analysis, so flip it to the left end of the board here. 1101 is Jack Doyle as the backup tight end for Mueller and Roach. Dak Prescott, the second quarterback drafted by Matthew Friedman and Dave Cabin. Anthony Miller to Sands and Terp. To Sean Jackson off the board to Justin Boone. Greg Olson, the backup tight end drafted for Delaney Walker here to the Palmers. Kirk Cousins as the starting quarterback for Jeff Manns. That's such a bulky pick right there. You wait, you get Kirk Cousins, and you talk yourself into, I'm totally fine with him being my number one quarterback. And you know what? Quite frankly, I am. You look at all that running back and receiver capital he does. I know you don't like the receivers he drafted, but he does have a bunch there.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He does have a bunch, and if I'm wrong and he's right, then those receivers are going to be fantastic. His running backs look good. I have no problem with him taking Cousins in the 11th round. The question is who's left for him in the 12th and 13th and wherever. I guess we'll just see where he ends up. I look at the whole, when you're looking at best ball, you have to look at the whole trilogy or dual, the two quarterbacks that they're taking. So
right.
We'll see.
The first team with three tight ends does it in 11 rounds here, and Mike Gesicki is that third tight end. The final one of the trilogy, as you would say here, as Mike Gesicki goes to David Hubbard, Vance McDonald, Trey Burton, Mike Gesicki. You can do a lot worse than that for tight ends. So I like that trio there. Emmanuel Sanders to Jared Smola after that as his number 4 receiver. Quarterbacks are going to start going here fast and furious until they don't. Jared Goff to Patrick Beasley as his backup quarterback. Jimmy Graham off the board to Sigmund Bloom at the 11-10. Kareem Hunt at the 11-11 to Mitchell and Clues And then Phil Rivers ending things here in the 11th round to Dave Richard as his backup to Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead with your point.
Jared Goff, I don't get it. What happened? Did he get hurt today?
Not to my knowledge.
Where does he normally get taken? Like QB 11 or 12?
Well, Dave, I can tell you
Kirk Cousins normally goes like 8 or 9 quarterbacks later or something like that.
QB 13 is where Jared Goff normally gets taken.
And where does Cousins, who went before him to Mans, usually go?
Jared Goff normally goes at the 908. Kirk Cousins is drafted on average as the QB 21.
21?
At the 1108.
1108. So, and again, that's fine. And the value, I mean, Jeff Mans actually took Cousins where he kind of gets taken. But I'm kind of astonished that Jared Goff, I mean, maybe he doesn't like him for whatever reason, but I mean, he passed on Goff. I mean, that's fine.
Right.
If you like Cousins better, you like him better.
Let's talk about that Mike Gesicki pick. Ryan Poole, who actually drafted from the 2-hole in last night's draft, chiming in the chat room, saying that that's pretty early for Mike Gesicki. And I looked, and his ADP is actually in the 14th round, normally going off the board at the 1403 as tight end 23. David Hubbard takes him here as his number 3 tight end. I'm not really going to bother to count how many tight ends go off the board, but I believe it was like between 15 and 20, and he takes Mike Gesicki there.
Yeah, it's his 3rd tight end. It's
fine.
If that's the one he likes better, I get it.
Did we talk at all about Kareem Hunt last night? I feel like we
did a little bit.
Okay, all right.
I was not as big of a fan because I think the fact that he's missing the first 8 weeks is a problem for me.
Final pick that I want to talk about before we get to quarterback palooza here in the 12th round. Didn't you say that the quarterbacks you thought they go in the 10th round tonight? That's when everybody taking them?
Yeah, and some did go, but not to the extent that it really. After Jeff Mans apparently opened up the spigot in the 11th round when he took his.
He
first
broke
one.
the spigot off.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what it was.
Oh, if Mans took one, we got to start going.
then everybody got on board. The last pick I want to talk about in the 12th round here, as long as it has been a Carolina Panthers show, let's talk about Greg Olsen. He does not go nearly as high as he used to in his heyday. Talking about potentially retiring after this season, talked about potentially retiring after last season, decided to come back after all those foot issues that he was having. It's the 11th round. They all have warts. In some cases, some of them have foot casts. Greg Olsen in the 11th round, would you get on board there? Could you, if you already had a tight end on your roster, and his name was Delaney Walker, would you be soaking another pick into Greg Olsen there in the 11th round and just hoping for the best?
If it were my draft, and I'm looking at the tight ends that went after, and I have to mention one, I would have probably taken Herndon, who actually went, like 13 picks later. Sorry to get ahead of myself.
That's all right.
But, I mean, he has Delaney Walker. He already has an old fart. Why have another old fart when you can get a young guy who's going to miss the first 4 weeks? What is a kind of a breakout potential player? That's kind of where I would have gone. Or, I guess Gesicki, but I actually like Herndon best out of those, even missing the games. So.
All right, fair enough.
All those old guys, you have all those old tight ends that are maybe they'll be all right. Maybe, they're for one last swan song. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
And some of them have not been selected.
Here they come.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. You're listening to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour coverage of the 2019 FFPC Pros versus Joe's Draft. Tonight we're broadcasting League number 2. It is the It's Not About Money League tonight, a Rocky-themed league names for all of them this year.
When did they ever say that?
What do you mean?
It's not about money. I don't know. I don't get it.
I would assume, given that
is that a quote?
Yeah, I would assume, given the photo that goes with this, it is when Rocky Balboa scheduled a fight with Ivan Drago.
Oh, that's right.
And it was not about the money for him. It was a little bit personal. Spoiler alert. Ivan Drago.
If you haven't seen Rocky IV, tough shit.
Ivan Drago killed one of Rocky's good friends. Won't tell you the name of the friend, but it happened. And you should go out and watch it because all those Rocky movies are great. All right, let's get into the 12th round here.
First 4 are good.
Did you watch the the newest one, the Rocky Balboa?
No.
Where it's the video game one where.
Dude, it's tough for me to go past 3 of anything. Once Police Academy 3 came out, I'm like, all right.
You didn't like Citizens on Patrol?
Yeah, that was all right. But I mean,
what was the Miami one when they're in Miami?
I didn't go past that.
I have to look this up.
Yeah. You should end it always with a trilogy. Who did a perfect trilogy? Porky's. Porky's 1, Porky's 2, and Porky's 3.
I didn't know there was a Porky's 3.
Oh, they were all great. I had them on a VHS videotape, the 6-hour SLP. The whole 3, the Porky's trilogy, the Deal with Ballbricker, that was outstanding.
All right.
That's how you do it.
All right, so just, okay, I was wrong. It was 5. So there's Police Academy, Police Academy 2, their first assignment. Police Academy 3, back in training, which, by the way, that's an underrated one. Nobody talks about that one.
No one talks about Police Academy.
Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. That's another one of my guilty pleasures. I think I've only seen the Miami one. This is Police Academy 5, Assignment Miami Beach. I think I only saw that once. Police Academy 6, City Under Siege. That came out.
Did you see all of these?
1989. No, I never saw 6. I stopped at 5.
It was like, were the characters still? I mean, were some still in, like Tackleberry? Was he in it the whole time?
I don't remember him being in every single one. I know that Gutenberg was in all of them. Actually, no, that's not even true.
I was going to say even Gutenberg had to leave once they went straight to video for a while. He had to take off.
So the last one was, and they stopped using the numbers in the last one. It was just Police Academy Mission to Moscow, and
straight to video.
Well, you know what's funny about this is they came out every year, Dave. 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, and then they waited 5 years, and then in 94 they came out with Mission to Moscow, and then never made another one.
Shane Helm, Naked Gun, 33 and a third.
Oh, I'm telling you.
This is what we're talking about. This is great stuff. This is great.
Those Naked Gun movies,
they're great,
will be on, and I never make a point to watch them, but if they come on, I'll leave them on, and just my guts will hurt afterward. I laugh so damn hard at all. Just the writing, the deadpan reaction to jokes, the slapstick comedy. It's got everything, man. I mean,
it's like the perfect sandwich.
You can't even say hilarity ensues because everything is hilarity. There's no time for anything to ensue, and those are some of the greatest pieces of comedy ever written, ever acted, ever shot.
Nice beaver.
Moving on.
I just had it stopped.
That opening where he's sitting with the lobsters at the dinner, I think that was 2.5. Where oh my God, it never.
So to give our viewers, listeners, if you haven't seen, there's the 6-part series from the Files of Police Squad. That was actually a TV show.
Yep.
It was 6 episodes, I think.
Yep.
And Leslie Nielsen starred. So it's actually kind of like almost a prequel.
Well, what's the name with George? Who is his partner?
I forgot.
I gotta look this up.
You're the one. We're doing this we're doing another podcast here. We're actually, this isn't the movie podcast.
Yeah, it's a very.
He's looking this up. We got a lot of quarterbacks going on.
Very famous. George Kennedy. That's what I was saying. He's in the Police Squad too.
Yeah, those are great.
Moving on. I'm sorry. Listen, we're doing 6 of these. You're going to get your fantasy.
Watch the Police Squad if you haven't seen it. The 6 things from the Files of the Police Squad are great.
Jordan Reed leading things off here at the 12:01 to Dave Richard as his second tight end. Josh Allen as the backup quarterback for Mitchell and Clues here at the 12:02. Mitchell Trubisky to Sigmund Bloom as his backup to Kyler Murray. And then Patrick Beasley, I believe, is the first team. Yes, he is. The first team with 3 quarterbacks as he gets Lamar Jackson to go with Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff there. So certainly a very sexy trio, as the kids on Insta would say. Jimmy Garoppolo right after that. So a mini run there of 4 straight quarterbacks. Jared Smola grabbing Jimmy Garoppolo. Justin Jackson, the second Jackson drafted in this round, to David Hubbard. As we'll talk about what Hubbard and Beasley are doing here in a second. But Justin Jackson goes off the board to David Hubbard here in the mid-12th. Tom Brady backing up Kirk Cousins for Jeff Mans here in the 12th round. Matthew Stafford doing the same for the Palmers to Ben Roethlisberger. Chris Herndon, who Dave actually already mentioned, going off the board as the number 2 tight end to Justin Boone. Peyton Barber to Sands and Terp here as their number 4 running back in the 12th round. A little bit of a mini running back run that we're going to stop here in a second, and we wrap up the 12th round. Naheem Hines to Cabin and Friedman as the penultimate pick of the 12th round, and then Carlos Hyde, the number 4 running back, drafted by Mueller and Roach. He is the final pick of round number 12 tonight. All right, we're going to get into team analysis here in roughly 20-25 minutes, Dave, but I want to do a little bit of a Cliff Notes version of it, talking about what Dave Hubbard and Patrick Beasley, 2 noted FFPC Joes here, what have they done? They've drafted 2 receivers through 13 rounds of this FFPC best ball draft. Can you win doing that? Is this something that they can pull off? Are they pulling it off right now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you can do it.
Christian Kirk and Curtis Samuel are the 2 receivers for David Hubbard. Patrick Beasley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Stephon Diggs off the board as the only 2 receivers. Now remember, FFPC format, for anybody who's not familiar with it, it is a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 tight end, 1 kicker, 1 defense, 2 flex. So you could start 3 tight ends. You can start 4 receivers, 4 running backs, but you only have to start 2 running backs. You only have to start 2 receivers. So certainly they are using that to their advantage here, and I use advantage loosely because I don't think this is something that Dave or I would do. I know Patrick Beasley drafts a ton of best ball leagues, so he's way more familiar with this than I am. But this is an interesting strategy, and we will see how these teams end up as we're coming up on the halfway point of this draft, Dave. But man, I don't think I could, regardless of how strong my backs and my tight ends and even my quarterbacks are, it's too naked for me. As Dave Hubbard would say, he's running naked at receiver right now, and that's not something I'm comfortable with.
Well, it's like you go to the gym. I mean, people are just, they're doing bench press all the time. They're doing curls, bench, and then their legs are like twigs. You have to do some legs, you have to do legs, you have to do back, you have to do something. You can't just be Mr. Upper Body. So I feel like you have to have some amount of balance when you're drafting.
Now, Shane Hallam so aptly pointing this out in the chat room. We've seen a team win with 1 tight end this contest. You can win with anything.
We didn't bring it up last night on purpose, but here it comes.
Well, I mean, I'm going to stay away from it, but if it organically comes up, I'm going to bring it up. But Tim McCullough from Roto Experts famously won this competition in 2015, drafting Antonio Gates as his only tight end, and won the whole thing. So congratulations to him. Shane Hallam also wants to know, I don't know if we should bring this up yet, and I'm a little I'm checking.
If the player hasn't been drafted, let's not talk.
Okay, let's wait on that.
It was a Funchess? Funchess got drafted?
Yeah, no, I know Funchess did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, they both got drafted here in the 13th round. I'll tell you what. Let's go through the 13th round, and this will be a natural segue into this question.
So great, Paulky.
Yeah, but when you say the segue out loud, it's not great.
I know it's bad.
Yes, exactly. When you have to say, hey, what a great segue, it means you sucked at it. All right, Alexander Madison is the first pick off the board here at the 1301 to Roach and Mueller. I got Hubbard on the brain now, apparently. Alexander Madison going there. Matt Breida off the board to Cabin and Friedman here from the Action Network at the 1302. Sam Darnold is the second quarterback drafted by Sands and Terp. John Brown right after that to Justin Boone from the Score. Adrian Peterson, one of your faves, Dave. Mark and Amy Palmer take Adrian Peterson here at the 1305. For reference's sake, his ADP is the 1212. A little bit of value there, I guess.
Nice. And he's been moving up, so that actually is value.
Noah.
Smola screwed up by not taking him.
Noah Fant to Jeff Manns. Chase. Oh, well, okay. So for what it's worth, it's his number 4 running back. So you think in a best ball format, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I'm about to. In a best ball format, you think handcuffing is actually, pretty valuable, even if it is not your number 1 or number 2 running back.
Well, it depends on what you're talking about, right? I mean, in this situation, he's talking about locking up the Redskins' backfield by taking Peterson with an injury-prone guy like Geis. You got 3 rounds of value on Geis, and then he takes an injury-prone, injured player, Emmanuel Sanders in the 11th round, which, again, is not a bad pick. It's fine. But he really didn't need to do that, even though he was a little bit short at receiver. He could have taken Peterson a full 2 rounds earlier. It's still gotten Funchess and Tyrell Williams, and his receivers would be Julian Edelman, Jeffrey, MVS, Funchess, and Tyrell Williams. And his 4 running backs, I mean, you have Mixon, Gordon, Aaron Jones, and then Geis/Peterson. That's pretty damn good. That's just my take.
Shane Hallam saying Adrian Peterson was a steal there. Right after him goes Noah Fant as the number 2 tight end drafted by Jeff Manns. Chase Edmonds to Dave Hubbard here. Devin Funchess off the board to Jared Smollett, followed by the rookie T.J. Hawkinson to Patrick Beasley as his number 2 tight end. Justice Hill, the rookie from Baltimore, goes to Sigmund Bloom here as his number 5 running back. And Devin Singletary, another rookie. So 3 straight rookies. Nope, make it 4. Devin Singletary goes to Mitchell and Clues, followed by Paris Campbell to Dave Richard from CBSSports.com. Now, Shane Hallam in the chat room, as we teased this earlier. He wants to
Shane P. Hallam.
Shane P. Hallam. Excuse me, Shane P. Hallam.
It just sounds more prestigious.
In the chat room, he wants to know who's better this year, Paris Campbell or Devin Funchess. Who do you like, Dave? Because they both went this round, fairly close to each other. Devin Funchess was acquired by the Colts via free agency. Paris Campbell was acquired by the Colts via the draft. Which one do you like better? for this format, this draft?
I still own Funchess on a couple of dynasty teams. I don't own Paris Campbell at all. I would think even in redrafts, I would probably be fading off of Devin Funchess. Even though it's a change of scenery, and he was a really young receiver coming out. I guess if there's a chance that I've always tried to believe in Funchess, but I might miss it. I mean, if he comes out and breaks out now with luck, I just blew it. I got whipsawed the whole way with Funchess, and I just don't believe in it. They took Campbell early enough that I think that he's going to emerge at some point during the year, and Funchess loses time. If not like Curtis Samuel, but maybe even in training camp, maybe Funchess shows his, he doesn't catch all that great, routes aren't that good, and all that stuff.
Yes. Well, what does he do, Dave?
He's tall. He's pretty big. He's like the Calvin Johnsons, if like the movie Twins, right?
Yeah.
He got all the bad crap like Danny DeVito, and Calvin Johnson got all the good crap. So he's the same size, though.
Ryan Poole, actually, who drafted last night, says that he'd rather take the risk in the rookie over Campbell, and he actually did do that because he drafted Paris Campbell last night, and you called him a dart throw, which it's two different conversations we're having here.
It is a dart throw. I still think it is a dart throw.
Yes, exactly. Funchess versus Campbell is much different than
I
Campbell
got called
versus
out on
the
Twitter
world.
for it. I liked it. It's fine. It's not a dart throw is not bad. I used to play darts. I like throwing at throwing for triple 20s.
Some dart throws are very skilled.
It's very true.
If you suck at darts, then that's what the thing is. What if you're really good at darts? Because then a dart throw is good.
It's the end of the 13th round. It's fine. That's what you're going to be doing. I mean, Josh Gordon gets drafted in that range. John Brown gets drafted there. Those are dart throws. I mean, they really are.
All right, moving on to the 14th round here, Dave, because we have a defense off the board. And for the second straight night, the first defense drafted is indeed the Chicago Bears. Then a mini tight end run here after Richard takes the Bears. Darren Waller to Mitchell and Clues. Jason Witten to Sigmund Bloom as his number 3 tight end. Tyler Eifert as the number 3 tight end for Patrick Beasley. And you get Tyrell Williams, the Raiders receiver, to Jared Smola here at the 14:05. 14:06 is Josh Gordon as the number 3 receiver for Dave Hubbard. N'Keal Harry, his real-life teammate, goes one pick after that to Jeff Manns. Kalen Ballage is the running back that the Mark and Amy Palmer have selected here in the 14th round. Giovanni Bernard right after that to Justin Boone. Andy Isabella, sort of one of the mascots of this show, I think we can say. Not the mascot. That's, of course, at Two-Packer. But Andy Isabella here goes off the board to Sands and Terp. Andy Dalton is the 3rd quarterback drafted by Friedman and Cabin. And then Michael Gallup to round things up here in the 14th round. The receiver from Dallas goes to the team of Danny Miller and Jeremy Roach. Okay, so let's talk about Darren Waller. This is a guy that's I don't want to say he's come out of nowhere, but I know the coaching staff has sort of talked him up in Oakland.
That is kind of really, I think if there's one description you could say, it's kind of, now granted, all the, DV guys and the dynasty players are going to be like, oh, I knew about Darren Waller.
I believe it's pronounced Debbie.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, DV. It's like they're deviant by playing DV leagues. Waller's been, talked about for many years. He's a big dude, former wide receiver. He played for Georgia Tech, was it? Is that right? Or
I can look that up for you, Dave.
So, but, he's never really done much of anything, but he's always been this, he's kind of like the poor man's Devin Funchess. But he's now transitioned to tight end. Oakland needs a tight end, so maybe he does amount to something. It's a dart throw.
It is. He did play college football at Georgia Tech. Also, he's the great-grandson of Jazz legend Fats Waller.
Oh, man, I wonder what Matt Waldman thinks of that.
Sounds like I'm making that up. I'm not. Former 6th-round pick in 2015 was with the Baltimore Ravens up until he
Waldman could tell you what he thinks of actually that Jazz legend, where he would rank him on his
probably
personal Jazz chart.
I think that's completely accurate. Oakland Raiders is where he landed last year, and he's still there. 18 catches for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns in his career. But this should be, as far as Darren Waller standards go, a breakout season for Darren Waller. All right.
They took that other tight end, I think it's Foster Moreau in the 5th round. And he actually, on I'm bringing up RotoViz. RotoViz's little tight end forecasting scale, Foster Moreau actually ranks kind of all right. Not great, but not god-awful. So who knows? Maybe that guy emerges and competes a little bit with him. But I think it is still Waller's job, of course.
Foster Moreau sounds like a guy who writes crime novels. He is a tight end at LSU. They took him in the 4th round.
4th round.
Yeah.
That's for tight ends. The 4th round is draft capital. That actually does matter.
According to Raiders.com, they say he's a high character guy.
Moreau or Waller?
Moreau, which is interesting. consider the source.
Colonel Mustard in the billiard room with the rope.
The team that took Foster Moreau in the 4th round, they're calling him a high character guy. So, well, whatever.
Hey, just wait till we got to talk about Hunter Renfrow, our bets from last night.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, no question. All right, so Jason Witten, is this a player that you want to be in business with as your number 3 tight end, Dave? Because Sigmund Bloom says yes to that.
As my number 3 tight end, yes. As my number 2 announcer in NFL football, never. Don't want anything to do with Jason Witten nor that hairstyle. So good God, I hope he fixes that up as well as comes back and plays all right. For number 3. It's not bad. They lost Beasley, so they have targets that open up there. So why not? You
think he gets back into broadcasting after he's done with his playing days again?
No, I think Greg Olsen laughs all the way to the bank and puts Witten out to passer. But Olsen is way, way better.
Well, but think about all the college football announcers that ESPN has. You can't tell me that he couldn't get a job.
No, that's a good point. He might be on the Ocho or whatever. The ESPN whatever, doing SEC games or WAC.
He did play in the SEC, so that would make sense.
It could happen.
Moving on to the 15th round here, Dave. Duke Johnson, 1501 to Mueller and Roach. Gerald Everett. This is a guy that he's not drafted high, but if I'm in a best ball competition like this, I really like him as my number 3 tight end.
I do too. It's a really good offense. Go out throwing the ball. Granted, they have all those receivers that get drafted super high, but Everett showed some signs last year.
Yeah.
I really do like him actually. In that spot, he's still a young guy, kind of in the prime of his career, and you just don't usually get that in that range of tight end drafting. So I think that's a good pick.
Tony Pollard continues to climb the draft boards. His ADP is in the 18th. He gets picked by Sands and Terp here in the 15th tonight. Kenny Stills, one of my favorites. He's probably on the All-Balkman team somewhere for as many times I've drafted Kenny Stills over the years. He goes to Justin Boone here. Derek Carr is the number 3 quarterback drafted by Mark and Amy Palmer here at the 1505. DK Metcalf, the Jeff Mans. He goes back-to-back rookie receivers. Harry in the 14th, Metcalf in the 15th. Nick Foles right after that, backing up Russell Wilson for Dave Hubbard. Deshaun Hamilton to Jared Smola. This is weird because you remember there was like that blurb. Oh man, I don't know. It's like a month or so ago. I think even Evan Silva was talking about this, who's actually going to be drafting next week in this competition.
About which player?
About Deshaun Hamilton and how big he could be in that Denver offense this year. And now you don't hear much about Deshaun Hamilton. And maybe we will once, training camp kind of gets revved up here.
That's a good point.
But there's that blurb. He kind of went super high in FFPC best balls for a while, and now he doesn't. And he
kind of forgot.
He's the number 3 receiver from the Broncos drafted tonight. Frame of reference, Cortland Sutton went in the 7th. Emmanuel Sanders goes in 11th.
To the same player.
To Jared Smola's credit, he gets Sanders and Hamilton.
That worked out nice.
Great law firm, great buddy comedy show, and hopefully a great wide receiver duo of Sanders and Hamilton here to Jared Smola.
Let's go back to DK Metcalf real quick. Where is his ADP? That seems really, really late for him. 1506.
He normally goes, Dave, at the 1307.
All right, so it's 24 picks, 23 picks available.
As wide receiver 51. Wow, somebody took him at the 708. That is aggressive. Didn't know Pete Carroll played at FFPC.
Nice.
Apparently he does. All right, so moving on past Hamilton, LaShawn McCoy, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Patrick Beasley takes LaShawn McCoy here in the 15th. Mike Davis to Sigmund Bloom in the at the 1510. And then a pair of receivers, Robert Foster from Buffalo to Mitchell and Clues, Antonio Callaway, 15-12 tonight for Dave Richard. Who was I listening to today? Nope, it was somebody on Sirius XM, and I apologize. I can't remember what show I was listening to.
Yeah.
But they said there's real possibility, and I found it hard to disagree. Cleveland probably is going to be running a ton of 3 receiver sets to the point where it might be their de facto set with Landry in the slot, Beckham and Callaway on the outside, and Njoku, and then just Chubb in the backfield. So Callaway should see a lot of snaps at least this year. I don't know how many targets that translates to, but for 15th round, man, I can get on board with that.
Well, think about this. If Beckham had not been traded to Cleveland, where would Antonio Callaway be getting drafted right now? Like 5th round? Right? What do you think? 6th?
He'd be
way the hell
up there.
Maybe
he'd be up there.
Maybe not 5th round. Like 6, 7, 8 range, whatever.
7th, I think, is probably more accurate.
He made an okay rookie season. He had a lot of drops, concentration problems, and so forth. But he's a really good athlete. And you could tell when they had him on Hard Knocks that they were really trying to coach him up. They were like, Landry, take this guy under your wing, get him going. I really think they're still high on Callaway. I think Callaway is a nice pick, and even in redraft, Because if you have any injury, if you have injury to Landry, you have injury even to Njoku, I think that it could work out nicely for him as getting a lot of targets from a really young ascending quarterback.
And, the other thing to keep in mind with Callaway, what have you heard from him this offseason? Getting pulled over, DUIs, possession of drugs, nothing.
Nothing, exactly. The guy that was the so-called bad boy,
right.
He's not I don't think he's a bad boy. I think he just had a kind of a rough start. I actually
they all do crazy stuff in college.
And on the numbskull list or whatever the flake.
The flake scale. Where's he on the flake scale? Did he drop off?
He's like a 4 or 5. He's like low.
All right.
He's really low.
All right. Shane P. Allen. Emmanuel Sanders' 5 seconds of Twitter film made people go crazy. Blitz Demania.
So the same thing with Metcalf, but not the same direction.
Yeah, exactly. Blitz Demania now joining the chat tonight. He was in here last night. He says he's not touching Sanders. He also. Sports Betting Man gave him props on the team, but he says he confirms this is all Danny Mueller's team. All Danny Mueller's doing, and Sports Betting Man says that team is a rockin' right now. Okay, moving on. Let's complete. Did we complete that round? Yeah, we did complete that round, the 15th round. Dave, at what point does LaShawn McCoy become a value for you?
Hey, man, 15th round, I mean.
So, yes.
What the hell?
So that's where it is.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, even before then, I know that there's talk about cutting him, but I mean, he'll pick up somewhere else if they do. And, the team, unless they're totally lying, they're still talking about this as the starting back. So why not? At that point, who cares?
Let me ask you this. Where do you think his ADP is right now for FFPC best ball drafts over the last 3 days?
1107.
10-12.
All right, so not bad.
It's very good guess, actually. Yeah. So this is insane value.
It really, I agree. It really is.
All right.
Patrick did a very nice job. He didn't, Patrick, to give him credit, up until all the way from picks 11 through 15, getting the quarterbacks and tight ends as he did, I think was really good. Really good job.
All right, we're going to talk about his team in a second because he did something I would never be able to do.
I know he doesn't.
Just hold on. Let's.
All right.
Let's
can see the board.
Have the sort of like the theatrical approach to this. People are going to be downloading this later, so I don't want to ruin it for them. All right, Darwin Thompson.
Check back later for Team 9.
We'll talk about it. The 2 GD seconds here. Just give me a second. Let me get through the 16th round here.
You're being naughty.
Darwin Thompson, 1601. Malcolm Brown right after that at the 1602. Marquise Goodwin to Sigmund Bloom. Greg the Leg Zerline goes to Patrick Beasley here for a frame of reference. That is 1 kicker and 2 receivers through 16 rounds here for Patrick Beasley.
Yeah, but don't spoil it.
Just pointing that out. Well, now I can because I'm at that point. Dion Lewis goes to Jared Smola.
Good storytelling.
I agree, it was. Jacksonville Jaguars go to David Hubbard here as the number 2 defense off the board. Joe Flacco completes the quarterback trilogy for Jeff Manns as his number 3. Chris Thompson to the Palmers right after that, Dave. They get Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson. And Jamal Williams goes right after that to Justin Boone from the Score. Marcus Mariota, 3rd quarterback off the board for Sands and Terp here at the 16-10. Jamison Crowder, the new Jet receiver, goes at 16-11. And Traquan Smith, the New Orleans wideout, completes round 16 to Mueller and Roach. Okay. Did you ever take in a best ball format your first kicker before your 3rd receiver?
No. That's because I don't take kickers in the 5th round. I usually have 3 receivers by the 5th round.
That's funny. That is funny.
It's true, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Shane P. Hallam chiming in on somebody who just went in the 17th. Okay. Do you have anything else to say about the 16th round? Otherwise, we can get on to the 17th. We'll get on to the 17th.
I have to delay a draft quickly with your boss.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Double duty, buddy.
I'll take over. That's no problem.
No, it'll take about a minute.
All right. The Rams defense here leads things off in the 17th round as the 3rd defense off the board. Aaron Donald and company going to be cracking heads with for Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach here. Raquel Armstead, rookie running back out of Temple, I believe, backing up Leonard Fournette in Jacksonville. He is going to be one of the running backs on Matt Freeman and Dave Caven's team here at the 1702. Ricky Seals-Jones to Sands and Terp. And Shane P. Hallam chiming in on the chat room thinking that could be a steal. Cliff Kingsbury recruited Ricky Seals-Jones to Texas A&M. It's going to be a lot of plays, a lot of passing. Kyler Murray will look to bail out. Charles Clay won't touch him. Totally agree on that. So interesting take on Shane P. Hallam about Ricky Seals-Jones here. Chargers defense are the 4th defense off the board at the 1704, followed by perennial tease Devontae Parker to Mark and Amy Palmer. Denver defense to Jeff Manns. Trey Quinn, guy I like, receiver that we've talked about on this show, could be a good-looking steal here in the 17th round for Dave Hubbard, especially when he avoided receivers as much as he did. That Trey Quinn could look really good. Mohamed Sanu right after that to Jared Smola, and Patrick Beasley starts hitting the receivers here a little bit. Albert Wilson. Again, a guy that I wanted to point out went 104 in my dynasty draft last night, Dave.
Did he really?
Rookie free agent draft. Yeah, Albert Wilson, 104.
Kentucky.
To Patrick Beasley there. Minnesota Vikings defense at the 17-10 to Sigmund Bloom. Now the defenses are going to be flying. Defenses be flying here on the show. Ted Ginn to Jason Mitchell and Kevin Clues at the 17-11. And then Benjamin Snell. Apparently we're listing him as Benjamin Snell on myffpc.com, not Benny.
I haven't checked with the supervisors on that, but it sounds like that.
So Benjamin Snell, still the same person as Benny Snell. He completes the 17th round here. Kidding aside, Benny Snell, I don't think I think we have talked about him before.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
And your team Samuels all the way.
Yeah, I mean, what are you, the third running back on the Steelers, I guess. I guess he's a player. I mean, whatever.
Well, for what it's worth, Dave Richard did draft James Conner as his first-round pick, so now he gets Snell to back him up.
You get Snell to back up.
Well, to back up Connor, yeah.
No, you get Snell to actually he's backing up Samuels though too.
I get that, but not on his team. That's a poor choice of words for me. I apologize. Jalen Samuels went to Patrick Beasley here. Dave Richards probably like, I mean, why the hell is this guy taking all these running backs, including Jalen Samuels? Should be taking receivers. Well, now he's taking receivers.
Well, that is true actually. Good point, Dave.
All right. So anyway, we talked about Ricky Seals-Jones. We talked about Albert Wilson. We talked about Trey Quinn. I don't think there's anything else I really want to hit on here in the 17th. I mean, I think we've already gone on record as saying we like Raquel Armstead as the handcuff to Leonard Fournette over Alfred Blue.
That's a question to me. I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I actually think that Alfred Blue might be the handcuff there. Why is Raquel Armstead, some unknown rookie who got drafted whenever, all of a sudden the backup? I think
you answered your own question.
I think that Blue is actually the backup. He's the guy who's got pass protection experience. Armstead just is a guy who has a high speed score. Now Blue didn't do well last year necessarily, but he's still a competent pro running back. I think the Blue is the backup, and that's my opinion.
Now, for what it's worth, Dave, here, Raquel Armstead was drafted by Matthew Friedman and Dave Caban from the Action Network, RotoViz. They did not have Fournette.
Sure.
So, I mean, this is clearly
just a flyer pick.
Yeah, a dart throw, as some might say. And that's what they did there. So we'll see what happens with Mark and Amy Palmer, as they were the ones that drafted Fournette here in the third round tonight. Okay, let's move on and talk about Marquise Brown in the 18th round. Now, this is weird because Marquise Brown was the first wide receiver off the board in the actual 2019 NFL draft. He is a burner. He is a cousin of Antonio Brown, and I would imagine not only does his skill set fit in with Lamar Jackson, his skill set fits in with what you want in a best ball format.
And he's technically the number one receiver on the Ravens.
So now he had that Liz Frank thing. I mean, is that what's driving him down? And because his ADP is actually 1804 in FFPC best balls.
I think that's one thing. I think he's one of the smallest wide receivers in the NFL. I mean,
he's not a big man.
But he's super fast. It's tough for me to make out what to do with him. I mean, I look at players that get drafted around the same spot, and I can make arguments for those players over him. But I can get behind Marquise Brown again as just giving it a shot. Why not? He's going to get action. They're going to give him a shot. So unless he's hurt, he's going to have opportunity.
Yeah, I don't like Marquise Brown. I think it'd be taking him higher than the 18th, and so maybe I do like him. Apparently, who'd have thunk it? Ian Thomas off the board at the 1802 to Jason Mitchell and Kevin Clues. That's their number 3 tight end. I like him for best ball this year too, quite a bit, Dave.
Which player again?
Ian Thomas, the backup to Greg Olsen in Carolina.
I think that's solid.
Justin Tucker, Sigmund Bloom, destroyer of footballs. He goes Justin Tucker, not Sigmund Bloom. Sigmund Bloom grabs Justin Tucker there at the 1803. Zay Jones to Patrick Beasley is his number 4 wideout. Deebo Samuel to Jared Smola, the rookie receiver out of San Francisco. He goes to Draft Sharks, Jared Smola there. A couple of defenses. Baltimore Ravens to David Hubbard. The Cowboys defense to Jeff Mans. He is the second team to double up on defenses along with David Hubbard.
It's supposed to be a fast draft. We're talking defenses already.
Yeah, well, or they're being pushed up, one or the other. Randall Cobb to Mark and Amy Palmer here, the new Dallas Cowboys slot receiver, as we pointed out earlier in this draft. Bruce Anderson. My parents used to work with a Bruce Anderson. They still hang out with Bruce Anderson. Cool dude from what I've never met him, but he sounds like a decent guy. And Justin Boone took the football version of Bruce Anderson here in the 18th round. John Ross and A.J. Brown, a pair of former first-round NFL receivers going in the 18th round here. And then C.J. Anderson, the final pick here of the 18th round, going to Mueller and Roach. C.J. Anderson, where is he? Detroit, I believe?
Yes, sir.
That's correct? Okay.
He is backing up one Kerryon Johnson.
All right. So C.J. Anderson here goes to Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach. I want to talk a little bit about John Ross because he's sort of been the forgotten man in Cincinnati behind A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd.
What?
All right. Now,
Who's John Ross?
Let me paint you a picture here. It's probably not going to be a picture you like.
Are you his agent?
Probably going to be a picture that you would never buy. But A.J. Green's dealt with a lot of injuries. Tyler Boyd, you could make the case that he's been a one-off so far in his career.
He is a slot receiver, too, by the way.
And Cincinnati should be getting rocked in a lot of games this year. And they get a bright offensive mind in Zach Taylor coming aboard to coach the team. Is there is that reason enough to make John Ross a part of your fantasy game plan for 2019 with those points? Or are you completely like, this guy's always hurt, he's shown nothing, he had one really good season in college, he was overdrafted in the NFL draft, he's not worth it?
I've never been a big John Ross fan, and then his rookie season, it was kind of a lost season. He had one rush for 12 yards, 2 targets, and one fumble in 3 games.
Woof.
But, last year, it's interesting. He had 58 targets, 21 for 210, not great, but 7 touchdowns. That's kind of whack, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone would argue the variance goes the other direction, that maybe he actually could emerge. I'm not a huge fan, but I mean, you just don't know. It is only his 3rd season. There is always the possibility that he does break out. Again, it's late, so you're taking chances on a player. I get it. I would probably have drafted A.J. Brown, who went right after him. I would have taken him ahead of time because it's kind of like building a criminal case. You already have a case that John Ross sucks. A.J. Brown in the pros, you have no case against him yet because he's just still a rookie. So Brown could end up being good, and he was really good in college. So I would probably go with A.J. Brown myself.
All right, I kind of screwed up when I was talking about the Liz Frank injury. Sports betting man pointing out that I need to go more hardcore French accent for the Liz Frank injury. So I will say that there was an injury for Marquise Brown that he dealt with. It was the Liz Frank injury that he dealt with. That is the best I can do. I'm sorry.
I don't like French people.
Why?
I don't like French pronunciation. I don't like French people. I'm part French. I don't like them. So.
Let me tell you something. I don't like the FFPC.
Very
either.
little. Very like 2%.
I will be moving on. You will not get my francs this year.
Yeah.
All right.
They're ungrateful. They're not happy about all the times we've saved them over all their problems. Anyway, moving on.
Don't need to get into all that. John Ross is going to be at some bar in 2 years talking glory days, according to Sports Betting Man. Shane P. Hallam chiming in. I really like John Ross, but small and injured doesn't work. That might be a good team name for me this year.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is the way.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. All right, so there you go. Josh Mack 22. What about French fries? You don't like French fries either, do you?
I do like French fries.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, French wine's good too.
I can't remember it. I don't think I've ever seen you eat a French fry, to be quite honest with you.
Well,
not that we hang out in Mickey D's a lot together.
I occasionally will eat them.
All right. Well,
we have the air fryer upstairs. Outside of the Verizon studios here.
Right.
Once in a while, I'll use.
It's not the Verizon studios anymore.
That's right. Verizon's not paying us.
Contractually obligated to mention that anymore. All right, moving on. Let's take you through the 19th round. We'll get into some team analysis here. Will Lutz to Mueller and Roach here. This, by the way,
really going through the whole kicker round?
Heavy kicker round. Well, listen, some people tune in to
no, they don't.
hear the kickers. Absolutely, they do.
Round 19, guys. There was a bunch of kickers and Marquise Lee, Dorsett, David Moore, and the Houston defense. All right, let's talk about the teams.
People play in the
30 seconds.
People play in the FFPC because they like the kicker. All right, and you just totally threw him under the bus here. Ridiculous.
Who's your favorite kicker?
Will Lutz, Harrison Butker, Kaimi Fairbairn, Stephen Gostkowski, Giorgio Tavecchio, Jake Elliott, Dan Bailey, and Robbie Gould all going in the 19th round. You know who my favorite one is? Stephen Gostkowski. You want to know why? He makes a ton of money and he earns it.
I just think you wanted to pronounce Kaimi Fairbairn and Giorgio Telvecchio.
Giorgio Telvecchio.
Yeah, that's great. Good job.
Where is the lasagna? I asked for the lasagna.
So, I love Italians.
Really?
They're,
what about Italian wine?
Italian wine's great. Yeah, there's I'm trying to think of the names of them. There's different ones, whatever they're called.
You know what I don't like about Italians?
Bordello? No, not Bordello. Something like whatever.
Actually, not what I don't like about Italians. So I went through about a year and a half of a kick where I watched the Food Network and the Cooking Channel incessantly. Watched it. I don't know why.
Are you a good cook?
No, I'm not. I can't cook at all, but I like watching people cook. What I don't like is, and I'm not going to name the hosts that did this, but they may have had Italian roots, but they did not have anywhere close to an Italian accent, okay? Nothing close.
All right.
So they're talking about different things. Let's say they're talking about pizza, okay? And they're like, and this is what's so great about the pizza. This is what they would say, Dave. This is what's so great about the pizza. You get this light, airy crust, enough to let you know that it's there, but it doesn't overpower it. You get this real zesty tomato sauce with the fresh tomatoes.
Right.
And then, of course, that glorious, really luxurious mozzarella on top of it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. It's so ridiculous. And then they go right back to a normal, like,
oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Nebbiolo is the wine I was talking about.
Okay, so there you go. All right, so let's
no one cares.
Let's get into the team analysis. Even, by the way, Sports Betting Man's asking for more deeper Italian.
Yeah, Paul, your Italian is good, actually.
Yeah.
Much better than your Trump and the Dolphins coach.
People say that this is the best.
God.
There's no better Trump impersonation than the one that Bulky does.
God, please mute your microphone.
I'm a big fan of Bulky. He does a great job on the show. I'm not sure about that Gerzak character. We'll see. I'll give him a chance. Like all great Americans, I give him all a chance. And right now, I'm liking him. I'm not loving him like I am Bulky.
Oh, God, it's so bad.
Dave Richard from CBSSports.com, Dave. Let's take a look at his team here. Running backs, James Conner. Thank you, Mr. President, by the way. James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Tariq Cohen, James White, Ronald Jones, Darwin Thompson, Benjamin Snell. Receivers, Odell Beckham, Amari Cooper, D.D. Westbrook, Paris Campbell, Antonio Callaway, Marquise Brown, Adam Humphrey. Oh, so we're doing it now.
No, it's Humphrey.
Yeah, thank you. Eric Ebron, and Jordan Reed are at tight end. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers. I think this is, it's not the route I would have gone with receivers, but I like what he did at post D.D. Westbrook here. I think he hit on some guys that can help him out, and I like the running back. So I think this is a well put together squad.
Well, I think he's got some problems, actually.
Tight ends are not great, but whatever.
Well, the tight ends, he only has two, and the quarterbacks, he only has two, and they've all gone for the most part, it looks like, unless Ryan Fitzpatrick's still out there, but whatever. So if he wanted to take him, they should have taken him already. Two quarterbacks, two tight ends, not a winning strategy overall. Running backs, I really like how his running backs turned out. Receivers are decent through the first two or three, and then they just die off badly. So I think I have concerns with this team overall.
Okay. Moving on to Jason Mitchell and Kevin Clues here. Running backs, Nick Chubb, Darrell Henderson, Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary, Malcolm Brown. Receivers, Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Kiki QT, Geronimo Allison, Robert Foster, Ted Ginn. Tight ends are O.J. Howard, Darren Waller, Ian Thomas. Quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Josh Allen. Not my favorite tight end squad here, Dave, but I'm glad to see he does. I mean, I like his third one in Ian Thomas. The receivers, they're not the receivers I necessarily would have taken, but there is some potential there with Williams and Sutton for breakouts. QT, Thielen, and Michael Thomas should all catch a bunch of passes. I actually like Allison this year as well. I think for me, the problem I have, the running backs are a little too darty. They're a little too lottery tickety. And after Chubb, there's some question marks there.
Well, I mean, you really, at this point, you have Chubb, and you have a half a running back in Henderson, and truly a half a running back in Kareem Hunt, and he's not even the starter. So he's like a quarter of a running back who played, half the season. Singletary's not starting. Malcolm Brown's a problem. I think where they kind of went wrong is by taking QT in the 8th round and Geronimo Allison in the 10th round. They really had no reason to do that. They were fine with Michael Thomas, Thielen, Williams, and Sutton, and they should have pounded running backs at that point. Also, they need a third quarterback.
What was the Italian wine that you brought up?
Nebbiolo.
Okay, well,
there's another couple. I guess there was B, like Barolo or.
Let me tell you this: is Kurt Kikis actually chiming in, who's actually going to be drafting in this competition tomorrow? He said that Amarone and Chianti are Italian wines. He's pointing those out.
Yeah, I'm all over the Chianti. I've seen Silence of the Lambs, but Kurt Kikis, by the way, if you ever
do you drink it with some fava beans?
Yeah,
and liver?
If you want advice on wine, Kikis. You could bring a few bottles to the FFPC main, and we'll have a couple of drinks.
He did say culture, baby, and that as well.
I'm actually having a South African wine tonight, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it good, huh?
Now that was really funny. That was like your best joke. Just
by Leo DiCaprio from Blood Diamond.
That was outstanding.
Yeah. It caught you off guard. I think
it is pretty good.
The shock value.
It's only like $12, but it actually ranks really well in Vivino, like a 4.3 or 4.4. It's like barista or something like that.
Fair enough.
It's like $12. It's really cheap.
Made by a company that has employees that pour coffee, apparently. All right, Sigmund Bloom from FootballGuys.com, Kerryon Johnson, Austin Eckler, Jordan Howard, Damian Harris, Justice Hill, Mike Davis at running back. Receivers, Julio Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson, Marquise Goodwin, David Moore, Taylor Gabriel. Tight ends, Jared Cook, Jimmy Graham, Jason Witten. Quarterbacks, Kyler Murray and Mitchell Trubisky. This is a balanced team, I feel like. When I look at it, it's just not a.
You're so funny.
I don't know. It's like, holy cow, this is insane, But it is a balanced team, and sometimes balance when you're trying to win a closed 12-team league. Sometimes that's good enough.
Well, I think Bloom did what I think Jason Mitchell should have kind of done almost with running backs. He kind of closed those gaps, right? Instead of taking a QT or Geronimo Allison, he took Jordan Howard, Damian Harris, and those players do have some upside. His receivers are fantastic. Cook, Graham, Witten, really great. Quarterbacks are good, although he doesn't have a third one. Again, a little bit of a problem there. I think the team overall is solid. There are some teams I like further down the line a little bit more, but I think he's going to be competitive for sure. I do think so. His running back, too, is the problem still.
I'm just looking at this right now. Sports Betting Man, Scotch and OJ sucks, but it sucks less every sip. I never heard anybody drinking Scotch and OJ.
Yeah, and Meyer drinks all sorts of weird crap, and I've never heard that either.
Yeah. Blitz Domania says, don't dilute the Scotch, Lance. And he says, agreed, just thought I had more vodka, but was wrong. So then he started pounding Scotch and orange juice. That is only on this show, ladies and gentlemen.
I've had that Balvenie Scotch in the Caribbean cask.
Yeah.
I've mixed that with Diet Coke. It's like a $70 Scotch, but it actually is fine with Diet. It's good.
I got a nice bottle of Johnny Walker. Is either green or blue for Christmas one year. And cracked it open, and my brother actually came over. It was actually at my in-laws, but my brother came over, and it was the year Guitar
Hero?
No, the band one. Guitar, maybe it was
I don't know.
Guitar Hero World Tour,
right.
But it was like you get like there's drums with it, microphone, and so he
didn't play it, but cool.
Hey, so he came over, and we're all having a good time, and I'm like, hey, you want to try some of the Scotch? Sure. And he's mixing it with Pepsi. It's Johnny Walker Blue or green or whatever it was, and he's mixing it with Pepsi. I'm like, okay, you can't have any more. That's I cut him off.
That's funny.
Had to be all snobbish. Patrick Beasley, let's talk about his team. Running backs, Marlon Mack, Phillip Lindsay, Sony Michel, Lamar Miller, Jalen Samuels, Jerick McKinnon, LaShawn McCoy. Receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, Albert Wilson, Zay Jones. Tight ends, Zach Ertz, TJ Hawkinson, Tyler Eifert. Quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson. Really good running backs. I can definitely get on board with those tight ends. I love the quarterbacks. This team will live and die by the receivers. You just added Quincy Enunwa as well.
Some of his late receiver picks, including Enunwa, are kind of interesting. Zay Jones and Enunwa, I don't mind as breakout-type players.
And Albert Wilson, too.
Yeah, and they're like Zay Jones is a starter on his team. He's number one, number two, whatever you want to call him. Enunwa technically is number one. I guess it could work out. I would have drafted more receivers, middle rounds, of course. Otherwise, three quarterbacks, three tight ends. Quarterbacks and tight ends are fantastic. Great job there.
Jared Smola, DraftSharks.com, Joe Mixon, Melvin Gordon, Aaron Jones, Darius Geis, Dion Lewis. Receivers, Julian Edelman, Alshon Jeffries, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Emmanuel Ander, Devin Funchess, Tyrell Williams, Deshaun Hamilton, Mohamed Sanu, Debo Samuel. Tight ends are Austin Hooper, David Njoku, and now, this just in, Benjamin Watson.
Benny Watson.
And Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy Garoppolo. Did you draft another quarterback here if you had Mahomes and Garoppolo?
I would have taken Fitzpatrick already, yeah.
But, okay, all right. So you would add one.
I would have, and I would do it. I would.
You still would.
Yeah,
all right,
of course.
Got it. All right, so running backs, obviously I really like the stable up at top with Mixon, Gordon, and Jones. I could still get on board with the quarterbacks. I like the tight ends, quite frankly. Receivers, again, not the receivers I necessarily want on my team, but I could work with this. I think Smola has a pretty good team, assuming the running back depth holds up. Which
running back, he'll be fine.
You think so with only 5 here?
Yeah, he definitely doesn't need any. Mixon, Gordon, Aaron Jones, Geis and Deion Lewis. Deion Lewis is a really nice pick in the 16th round. We didn't really talk about that. That was a really super value for him. I mean, actually a little bit surprised, though. He didn't take Chris Thompson, who went like 4 picks later with the pair with Geis, which just it actually is proving that Smollett didn't really care that much about backing up Geis. He was like, whatever. So
right.
I like his team quite a bit, actually.
I do, too.
I don't really love having Jeffries as my number 2 wide receiver.
But look at all those receivers, the depth after that.
I think the ones he took, Sanders, Funches, Williams, Hamilton, Sanu, Samuel. There's some good opportunities. And you
like MVS too.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay.
All right, so David Hubbard, another interesting draft here that we want to talk about. Running backs: David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Rashad Penny, Justin Jackson, Chase Edmonds. Receivers: Christian Kirk, Curtis Samuel, Josh Gordon, Trey Quinn, Chris Conley, Josh Reynolds. Tight ends: Vance McDonald, Trey Burton, Mike Gesicki. Quarterbacks: Russell Wilson and Nick Foles. You'd like to see another quarterback added here. Running backs, probably the best in the league. And then
I should hope so.
And I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Oh, receivers. Okay, that's
why you lost your train of thought. There's not very many of them.
That's where the issue is here. Is Josh Gordon is your number 3, Trey Quinn's your number 4, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not sure of the strategy. It's just not what I would have done. And in fact, it's kind of almost the opposite of what I would have done in a lot of ways. I respect Hubbard a ton. He's a fantastic player.
Is he throwing people off for the main event, Dave?
Maybe he considers this a throwaway team. But I mean, there's some opportunity here for him if Gordon comes back. I mean, the fact that his number 3 receiver is currently suspended is a problem. Trey Quinn's a hype player, but it's just not a team I would have drafted, so it's tough for me to pretend I'm going to get behind it, even though Hubbard is a great guy and a great drafter. So you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not going to lie and say I love it. That's because I just don't.
Right. No, that's fine. Jeff Manns from Guru Elite here. Let's get into his draft. Devontae Freeman, Mark Ingram, Tevin Coleman, Ito Smith are the running backs. Receivers: Tyreek Hill, Will Fuller, Golden Tate, James Washington, Dante Moncrief, N'Keal Harry, DK Metcalf.
What's Dante Moncrief's ADP? Did we ask that?
We did not. I feel like we might have talked.
13th? 15th?
We might have talked about it last night. Dante Moncrief currently goes at the 1406.
For the love of God, man. Pull up an 80. The draft room has an ADP thing. You click on it, and it sorts it.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
He just added DJ Chark as well.
DJ
Chark. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's move on. Travis Kelce, Noah Fant, and Hayden Hurst are his tight ends. Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, and Joe Flacco. So now ADP foibles aside here, Dave.
ADP to be damned.
I mean, running backs they're all right.
You seem mad.
I mean, you take 3 early ones, and then you only take 1 after that. I have questions. He took a lot of receivers I'm not fans of.
Yeah, that's true.
The tight ends are a little questionable. I mean, at least he's got Kelce. And then the quarterbacks I'm fine with. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Hey, listen, you got to get your guys, but if this is my team, I would not be happy walking away from the draft board with it.
Yeah, the receivers after Tyreek Hill are just not players I'm generally getting in business with. I mean, maybe Tate, maybe Washington at some point, but I felt like he reached a number of picks. I think his running backs are actually fine, even though he only has 4.
Okay, all right.
Freeman, Ingram, Coleman, Ito Smith, that's decent enough.
Got to stay healthy.
They do have to stay healthy. Yeah, but I really it's not kind of the players I would have taken either.
Mark and Amy Palmer had the 5th pick tonight. This is what they did with it. Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, Royce Freeman, Adrian Peterson, Kalen Ballage, Chris Thompson, Gus Edwards. Receivers: Davante Adams, Kenny Golladay, Calvin Ridley, Jarvis Landry, Corey Davis, Devontae Parker, Randall Cobb. Tight ends are Delaney Walker, Greg Olson, and Nick Bennett. Quarterbacks: Ben Roethlisberger, Matthew Stafford, and Derek Carr. Dave, I like this squad too. The issue I have with it is the tight ends, but outside of that, I like the running back depth. I like the receiving depth on this team. Tight ends are the question for me.
This is an underrated, kind of under the radar team. We haven't really talked about them much. I mean, look at the receivers. The receivers are really solid. They have 5 of them, and if Gurley and Fournette stay healthy, holy crap, this team could be really, really, really good. Freeman's a wild card in a good way. Peterson is technically the starter on that team, and then they get Chris Thompson a couple rounds later, 3 rounds later. I like this team quite a bit, actually. Nice job by them. And then they got the quarterbacks, and they got the tight ends. I think they're going to be in good shape.
Yeah. Justin Boone from the score.com here. A different score than what I work for, Dave. Ezekiel Elliott, Damian Williams, Chris Carson, Giovanni Bernard, Jamal Williams, and Bruce Anderson at running back. Receivers are Robert Woods, Robbie Anderson, Sammy Watkins, Sterling Shepard, Deshaun Jackson, John Brown, Kenny Stills, Demarcus Robinson. Tight ends, George Kittle, Chris Herndon. Quarterbacks, Carson Wentz and Jameis Winston. So I look at this squad, and to me, these receivers, as I look at it, they scream best ball. You know what I mean? These are all like, most of them, big play type receivers here. The tight ends, I would have liked to seen another one behind Kittle besides just Chris Herndon, who actually is suspended for the first couple of games of the season. Elliott and Williams is a great running back duo to start off with. I think getting a pass catcher like Bernard and Jamal Williams, who actually probably is going to have the most pass catches for Green Bay this year, is good late. Would have liked to see another quarterback. So I think this is maybe more in the double, triple range rather than a home run for Justin Boone.
I'm just the receivers for me. I just can't get,
even in a best ball.
Yeah, I just can't. I mean, I can't. If I would drafted, I looked at it and I saw Robert Woods was my 1, Robbie Anderson was my 2, Sammy Watt my 3, and Shepard is my 4. I'd be like, God, what happened? What did I?
Okay, all right.
So
I like him better than you, I think.
You do. You definitely do. And the reason I don't like it is because they went Elliott, Kittle, and then Williams. So by not investing any receiver capital in the first 3 rounds, it's really tough for me to get behind a team like that, because you're starting out your receivers is just not a good position for you overall. And then the running backs, while decent, are not like it's not like Hubbard, where Hubbard just crushed the crap out of running backs. They didn't do that here necessarily. So I just don't, if Carson's not a pass catching back, Gio is, but he's not the starter. So, I think there's plenty of problems going around. And so this is not one of my favorite teams. No offense, Justin.
Mike Sands and Dave Turp, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery, Peyton Barber, Tony Pollard, Jalen Richard. Receivers, T.Y. Hilton, Chris Godwin, Dante Pettis, Marvin Jones, Anthony Miller, Andy Isabella, John Ross. Tight ends, Dallas Goedert, Mike Andrews, Ricky Seals-Jones. Quarterbacks, Andrew Luck, Sam Darnold, Marcus Mariota. Totally get on board with the quarterbacks. Not a fan of the tight ends. I think the receivers are a little bit dicey. Running back, they'll be fine. A competitive squad, not one of my favorites from this draft, Dave.
I probably like it a little bit more than you do. I think they did a good job at running back. I mean, it's great. Kamara, Cook, Montgomery, I think is a nice pick. I think Peyton Barber is actually not too bad either. The receivers aren't the ones that I generally like. I mean, T.Y. Hilton is fine, Godwin's fine, but he still does have to break out, right? And so does Pettis. He didn't really do much. Marvin Jones coming off injury. So I'm okay with their tight ends too, actually. And I like that they took 3 tight ends, 3 quarterbacks. Receivers are just a little bit on the dicey side, but I don't mind their team overall.
Dave Cabin from RotoViz. Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, Naheem Hines, Matt Breida, Raquel Armstead. Receivers, Antonio Brown, A.J. Green, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, Larry Fitzgerald, Jamison Crowder, A.J. Brown, Marquise Lee. Tight ends, Evan Engram, Kyle Rudolph, Gerald Everett. Quarterbacks, Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. Dave, the issue I have with this team is not with the receivers, not with the quarterbacks, not with the tight ends. It's with those running backs and the depth there.
Yeah, the players that he took after Barkley are just players I'm not really on board with. I really actually, both teams 1 and 2, I like the way that they constructed their drafts. So I like that he actually got Fitzgerald in the 8th round here, so I think his receivers are fantastic. I just felt like after that, and I don't even mind the quarterbacks and tight ends. All the players he took are fine, but Sanders, Hines, and Breida, just not my guys, and maybe they'll do well, maybe not. I don't see it.
Let's wrap it up with Team 1, a popular choice among their favorite teams from the chat room tonight. It's Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach, who drafted. Well, Mueller really drafted this team. Christian McCaffrey, Latavius Murray, Deontay Foreman, Carlos Hyde, Alexander Madison, Duke Johnson, and C.J. Anderson. Receivers: Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup, Traquan Smith, Hunter Henry, Jack Doyle, and Matt Lacoste at tight end. Quarterbacks are Matt Ryan and Cam Newton. So, David, the receivers I really like here, I mean, you have some depth there. You have some decent depth with running back. When you get Christian McCaffrey with the first overall pick, that allows you some leeway here. And then I like the tight ends, too. With Henry, I think Doyle's underrated, and I can definitely get on board with Ryan and Newton.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of my favorite teams overall. I love the receivers, the first 4. I wouldn't have minded them grabbing another one at some point. I kind of like when you look at Team 2 with Deshaun Watson, Prescott, and Dalton. I kind of like how they spread them out, even though I like the Matt Ryan and Cam Newton thing. And the fact they haven't taken a 3rd QB, again, that's their strategy. It's fine. It's just a little bit of an issue with me. And then they got Matt Lacoste as their 3rd tight end. That's really waiting a long time. And for what? To get guys like Traquan Smith and Duke Johnson. But I'm kind of picking at nits. Overall, a team I like quite a bit.
And I want to thank Darren Armani, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, our producer, mutual friend our producer, mutual friend Rob.
What's up, Rob?
Audio engineer and best friend Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you, all you listeners that popped into the chat, offering your insight. We really appreciate it. This was a fun draft to cover tonight. I want to thank everybody who had a hand in it, and good job, drafters, on this one. We will be back an hour later tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It is the I Want You League number 3. Tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's going to be for the pros, Brad Evans from Yahoo, Josh Moore from 4for4, Curtis Patrick and Ryan McDowell from Dynasty Command Center, Howard Bender from Fantasy Alarm, David Dodds from Football Guys, Elliot Chris from the Quant Edge. The FFPC Joe is made up of Kurt Kikas, Robert Gross, Greg Cantor, Shelley Fossa, Matthew Treader, Justin Sarkey, and, of course, Matthew Zimmer. That is going to do it for our coverage. Feel free to absolutely continue following the live draft link. We'll get those draft boards up, posted socially and on the FFPC boards tomorrow. Remember, you have roughly 4 hours to get your main event team paid off, so you can get that early draft slot on July 29th. I hope each and every one of you take care of that so you can get your draft slot, in many cases, a full month before the draft, before your draft goes off. Make your Planet Hollywood reservations. Get in some best ball, Dynasty, and the Football Guys Players Championship. Thanks for listening, everybody. Your Wednesday officially starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. That was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
We're on the cement floor, even more so if we on tour. Me and E explore the country, wondering about the evening before. Trying to explain where the time went, while other rappers find a studio to grind in. Kinda like...
You know, it's night 2, and Ari, the dude who may be ingesting some things in his system and drinking scotch and OJ, is correcting me. It better not be Wednesday. No, it's Monday. And I'm telling everybody your Wednesday starts now, Dave.
Oh, you said Wednesday?
Oh, what a train wreck. Just the worst
show.
The worst way to end it. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. What a great draft. We got 4 more of these for you. Hope you're enjoying the ride as much as we are.